specifically, this is what Bethesda Game Studios said. Quote, "We're also hard at work on many of new features you asked for, from city maps to mod support to all new ways of traveling. Stay tuned. These will be rolling out with a regular cadence of fixes and updates we expect to have roughly every 6 weeks. If something can be done in a smaller hotfix in between, like the asteroid, and obviously now the Form ID issue, and we feel it's safe, we'll get one of those out as well. Safe is the key here. We do take a lot of time to test even the smallest change in a game this large and dynamic." So Bethesda says we're still getting these gameplay features. We're still getting city maps and mod support and new ways of traveling, whatever the hell that means, but we're still getting gameplay features at some stage. The big question, of course, is when. When are we getting these gameplay features? Bethesda has been so focused on bug fixing at the moment that if you think about it, they haven't done much else. We've received improvements to lighting at 73 locations. We of course have FSR 3 now. We've received a couple of features like that, but mostly it's been bug fixes. And some people have been getting a little bit frustrated by that because they've probably had relatively bug-free playthroughs of Starfield, and they just want the cool new features to actually give them a reason to keep playing, or if they've lapsed, a reason to come back and play the game, right? So I've seen that sentiment. I can understand it to an extent, but I will say that I still think right now bug fixes are much more important. There are still some really big bugs in the game, especially quest blockers or people that literally can't play the game anymore because of those issues. There are still some really big bugs that Bethesda needs to address ASAP, right? People aren't going to care about their fancy new city map or new ways of traveling if they can't bloody play the game, right? If they keep encountering FPS issues, if they keep encountering quest blockers in the game, they're not going to care. That is absolutely more important. However, there will be a point where those big issues are addressed, where, yeah, gameplay features would absolutely be a priority at that stage.
I don't want Starfield to be this redemption story like No Man's Sky. I want them to just cut their losses. I should say this. I'm going to say it on the video. Right? I'm going to say, I don't care for, nor want a Starfield, No Man's Sky redemption arc story. No Man's Sky. I don't need them to make it good. I was happy with the 100 I spent. I want them to abandon immediately and make sure Elder Scrolls 6 and Fallout 76 are good. Don't need or want. Just not the game we need.
Ideally, we get 1 or 2 cool new gameplay features in every update, in addition to a slew of bug fixes, right? That's the ideal situation. Is it always going to happen? I doubt it. Maybe next update we get city maps in addition to a bunch of other fixes. I just don't know whether that's actually going to happen. I think we're still going to get all those things this year. Hopefully we get mod support this year. But right now, maybe give it a few months, but right now I still think bug fixes are more important. But anyways, let me know what you think about this latest update in the comments below. And until next time, this has been the Lone Vault Wanderer. Please take care of yourselves, and would you kindly keep fighting the good fight.
You know, I heard Perfect World was good. On some back video I watched like last week, and I want to see again. Oh no, it's not Perfect Worlds. Is it Perfect Worlds or Secret Worlds or something? Or was it Secret Worlds or something? Secret Worlds. Secret World Online. Oh yeah, Secret World Online. There we go. The Peon did a video about this, yeah, and I want to rewatch it. Yeah.
Secret Worlds is a unique MMORPG from 2012 that's set in a modern-day world where magic and Lovecraft theme.
Okay, go back. Like, the video is being slow. Just gotta make sure everything's hunky-dory here. Yep. Oh man, that one's 7 and that one's 7, and there's like, yeah, there's like, man, like I made so much money. Would you care to... Would you care... I will keep her mining here, and I will begin to send the alts back and forth. That's how I will deal with this. That's the least annoying way for me, so. Yeah, but I'll just start running her back and forth, I don't care. That's fine.
Warp drive active.
Oh, now I'm halfway. This was way faster.
Docking request accepted.
that vice job might aggro me. It's annoying. I like the cat point of view. It's pretty cool. I like that.
Warp drive active.
Ah. Dear God, the running through the Barrens would have been so much fucking easier. Why did I do it this way? I'm stupid. I'm dumb. Well, now I know. Now I know. Ah. Ooh, there might be Horde here. I'm significantly higher level than them? No, I'm about the same level as what these guys would be. A little bit. A lot of people are going to be higher than me. That's alright. Excuse me.
Warp drive active. The asteroid is depleted. Docking request accepted.
Oops. Lucky I did not get ganked here. He's 30. Yeah, I don't really want trouble here. Gank and fairy fire him, but I'll get stomped by all these people. Oh my god, they're all going to RFK. Yeah. It's all horde. Will he attack me? No, he won't attack me. Oh, God. So cool. Okay, gotta go due west. Hopefully without mobs or, like, players. I don't know. That guy's 36. Now, the quest, go to EK, the Brassball Brothers. I'm in, oh yeah, the Brassball Brothers, right? Where's the Brassball Brothers? It's... Oh, I don't know, but I'm gonna get the flight point because I don't. What else am I doing? I don't know. I don't know what I'm doing down here. But I needed to go this direction, so I did. Feralus, that's his name. Now, oh. Yeah, I'm like, why is that fucking cougar burning? What the hell? Oh my god. Yeah, go get him. Don't come to me, you idiot. Yeah, get that guy. Get the boomer. Oh god. Wow, this guy got through, huh? They just didn't fuck with him at all? How did this guy just run through? What? He wants the flight path too. Go Starnes. He's not much like... Yeah, he's not much like older than me. Wow. But it was really nice what he did. I didn't have to worry about any of those guys. Yep, now I can just go through. I mean, what levels are these? They're like 28. They're the same levels as me. I'm fine. Oh, there's like stuff here, huh? Oh. Is there quests that I should take? No, that's 33 and 30. Yeah, 30 hardened shells and all that. Yeah, well, that's kind of low for me. What was that sound? Oh, yeah, nice. I'm gonna get that P at the very least. That's all I really need. And then... God knows, I don't know what quests they're talking about, but I'm gonna pull it and I'm gonna go see. They seem to want me to get the Brassball Brothers. Oh Oh, thank you. I'm not the only one coming here, it's funny. Why won't you attack? I need you to attack. Okay, I don't know why my thing is off my bar now. Why is my macro off my bar? What happened here? What was this now? Oh god, I don't know. Stay. I am trying to figure out why my shit's suddenly broken. That's just insane. Why? Why? My shit is entirely broken now. Why? What did you do? Oh my god. No, not Savage Roar. Oh my god. And Mangle. It's so dumb. I want to Mangle macro. New Mangle. Hashtag show tooltip. Cast Mangle cat, right? And I want to start attack on it. Start attack, right? And that's how you write a Mangle macro. Yep. And then, yeah, and that's a little bit better. Now we're better. And so I came here to get the
not why you were here.
Oh, yeah.
So speak and enlighten me. Where would you like to fly to?
Feralus. There are more. Ratchet, the Barons, and now I want to, well, that was fun, but it wasn't really what I wanted. I'm going to skip that. Yep. Just south of Worgen in the Woods. Okay, so now we go to Duskwood. I'm just going to see how we're doing here. Good. We're just going to dump it and leave.
Warp drive active.
Salvage drones. Oh my god.
Warp drive active.
Ooh, Steph Jordan. Okay, so now I go to Duskwood, and I think I've got everything I need here. Yep. And, yeah. Oh, I wanted to buy monopots, but I'm poor. I don't care about that.
Where is it you would like to go, lass? For just a few coin, my griffins can get ye there faster than even the swiftest horse. These great beasts know paths that you can't find on foot. They'll get you there fast and maybe show you something new at the same time.
Gonna run
Docking
around
request
Darkshire
accepted.
and accept quests and all this.
Players can join one of 3 secret societies to uncover a global conspiracy. The Secret World is a unique MMORPG from 2012 that's set in a modern-day world where magic and Lovecraft-themed creatures exist, and where players can join one of 3 secret societies to uncover a global conspiracy. The Secret World is a heavily story-driven game and features a ton of voice-acted cutscenes, multiple stage quests that feel more comparable to a single-player game than traditional MMO questing, and a tab-target combat system with a limited amount of abilities. In 2017, The Secret World had a free-to-play reboot titling itself The Secret World Legends, which brought a lot of new players to the game. However, in 2023, this is an MMO that I hardly hear anyone talking about, so in this video we'll be revisiting the game, see if it's had any positive updates that improve the fundamentals of the game, and see how well it holds up in 2023.
Thank you, Lazy
But
Beyond.
first, sponsor. GMG Performance Eyeglasses. If you're someone that spends a lot of time in front of screens either for work, gaming, or you just watch a ton of Netflix, then you might already be aware of how negatively blue light can actually affect your eyes. For me personally, I actually have very sensitive eyes, to the point where after about 90 minutes of staring at the screen, I need to force myself to take breaks, otherwise I'm gonna get a headache. Sometimes though, when I'm really on the grind either with work or I'm completely addicted to a new MMO and I can't drag myself away from it, I don't want to take those breaks. This is why I've gotten myself a pair of GMG Performance eyeglasses to help me stay productive and focused whilst also protecting my eyes. Additionally, if you're someone that struggles with sleep or good quality sleep, then these glasses could also help with that too, as exposing yourself to too much blue light at night time really starts to screw with your circadian rhythm. Right now I'm wearing the Optimizer model, but I've also got the Oranos model, and I think both of them have a really cool style about them. I know my audience, and I know a lot of you guys are staying awake till the early hours of the morning watching anime and no life grinding your MMOs, probably have insomnia, and probably aren't even aware of the issues that blue light's currently causing you. So for the next 48 hours you can get a massive 40% discount on your GMG Performance eyeglasses via my link in the description below. It's going to save you a lot of headaches, so grab yourself a pair now. The Secret World in 2023, it's been almost 6 years since I've covered this game, and to be perfectly honest, I completely forgot this game existed. Let's see if I've still got my character, shall we? There he is, the lazy peon. I don't know why I made my character look like he's in his mid-40s. Let's make a new character, see if the intro experience has changed at all. 3 different factions, the Illuminati, Templars, and the Dragon. Last time I played the game years ago, I picked Templars, but Illuminati sounds a lot cooler. Let's try and make a character that actually looks like me this time. I am 30 now, but I don't have that many wrinkles.
Seek out the clerk in the town hall and see if you can find out more about this character. I fear for us all. As the mystical taint creeps through the forest, the need for self-protection is undeniable, adventurer. The winds whisper to me and they speak of a great danger which waits patiently for you in the near future. If you wish to protect yourself, noble adventurer, bring to me 10 ghoul fangs, 10 skeleton fingers, and 5 vials of spider venom. For you, I shall enchant a totem of infliction which will harm those who attempt violent acts against you.
Darkness seems drawn inexorably to Duskwood. Master Caraven's quest is the expulsion of evil and heresy. Through our efforts are the people of Darkshire kept safe. You believe yourself worthy to join us? I once thought as you. Disillusioned by the complacency of the Watch, I joined Master Caravan. If you wish to prove yourself, it will not be through words. Test your skills against the Nightbane Shadow Weaver Worgen in Brightwood Grove. Bright, and the Rotting Orchard.
Something's amiss at Raven Hill, adventurer. Kaller swears that someone or something is haunting the buildings there. 2 nights running, he's noticed the shadows moving. And the third before that, he says he saw light in one of the windows. If, as you say, you care about the safety of Duskwood, find out what monster haunts in Raven Hill. There was an old man who used to come into town to buy supplies rather frequently, but I haven't seen him for quite some time now. He lives out in a shack overlooking Raven Hill Cemetery, if I remember correctly. Perhaps you should go see if something is amiss. As commander of the Night Watch, it is my sworn duty to protect the citizens of Darkshire. Stormwind has retracted their commissioned guards from their posts here, leaving us to our own devices. If you feel worthy of the task, we need your help. Assist the Night Watch by venturing forth into Tranquil Gardens, just south of Darkshire, and slaying 8 skeletal warriors and 6 skeletal mages. The undead threat must be thwarted.
So Madame Eva sent you. Stalvin, eh? Let me check the town registry. Stalvin. Let's see. Here we go. I have a record of a Mr. Stalvin Mistmantle. The last recorded address is the Moonbrook Schoolhouse. My, talk about outdated. Do me a favor, will you, friend? If you happen to go out to Moonbrook, let me know if you get any update on this fellow. I like to keep the records clean. As if the neglect for the residents of Duskwood was not bad enough now, the House of Nobles spits in the eye of the Darkshire Council with their decision to imprison Dextrin Ward in Stormwind, rather than behead the villain as per Lord Ebenlock's sentence. Ward was caught selling bodies from the cemetery to Morbid Fell, a crime punishable by death. Yet Stormwind claims Ward as their prisoner. Assassinate Ward in the Stormwind Stockade, bring me his hand, and I shall reward you. Seasoned wolf kebabs are a house favorite. Sure, I can make you some, but first I'll need the supplies. Bring me 10 lean wolf flanks, as well as some Stormwind seasoning herbs. There are so many wolves here in the forest, I am sure finding the flanks will be no problem. For the herbs, seek out Felicia Gump in her Canal District flower shop in Stormwind.
Oh. Should I repair? Am I damaged? No, I'm fine. Oh, should I go to Darnassus? No, I burned my Hearthstone. Damn it. Oh well, at least I got that flight point if I ever need it. Whatever. Oh, wait. Oh, yeah, no, this is right. Yeah. Oh, shit. Fuck was that? Level 40. Watcher Jordan aggroed him, but we catch him is the problem. Ooh. I can skin all this? I can. Oh my god, it's a Skinner's fucking treasure. Oh my god, I'm gonna get so rich. Oh, I'm glad I came here, yeah. This is heavy leather. It's gonna make me so much money. These stupid leather workers are gonna, like, make me rich. Aggroed somebody, or are they all like, yeah, why are they all just shooting somebody right now? Oh god, what did I aggro? Oh, yep. How is he invalid? That is not an invalid target. What the fuck? Oh god. Does that guy have a mount? Oh, right, because he's 40. Oh god. Why? Where did 3 of them come from? Come on now. Run, run. 3 of them. Come on now. It's so annoying. Link City. I'm just gonna stay on this on the outside of it and just pull. I don't care.
My character looks like a 40-year-old emo kid. This, I guess? Although this one's got a better hairline than me. Please tell me I can have a beard. Character customization's terrible. Now I understand why my previous character looked nothing like me. I mean, okay, we've found the beard option, but it's still pretty bad. Yeah, character customization, quite shocking. Select clothing, what are we gonna wear? Now this is one cool thing about the game, you get to select your character's clothing. To be honest, I dress pretty basic really. He's got the same shirt as me right now, let's use that one. This is a supernatural game, so I'm not going to dress how I normally would dress if the world went to shit, am I? End of the world, zombie apocalypse, this is probably what I'm going to be wearing. 9 different classes, the Ravager, Assassin, Mercenary, Punisher, Warlock, Gunslinger, Magus, Demolisher and the Trickster. Each one of these uses different weapons, and we're also given information on the difficulty of the class, as well as the weapons that the classes use. This time around I'm going to be a gunslinger because if I remember correctly, using ranged weapons feels best. Nickname, Big Daddy Peon. Let's go. I remember this intro cutscene, seems to be the same as before. The enchanted beetle crawls inside my mouth. Yummy. And we've got magical powers. That was one bug that was worth eating. He hasn't been able to fap properly because every time he touches himself, he gives himself a shock. He's feeling withdrawn, as you can see from his face. And now he's gone a full 3 days of no fap. He's become enlightened. This is why you need to quit internet porn, kings. You'll gain powers. Resist the urges. You'll gain powers and join the Illuminati. Like me. Awaken from the dream and we've got ourselves a little intro tutorial. Equip the gun, destroy the dead. Just shooting it in the head do more damage than the body. Doesn't seem like it. What if I shoot the floor? You've got like a gun reticule and you can kind of aim at targets, but it's not really aiming. It's like a soft target system. Chamber roulette. Dual pistols.
Oh, I was
spin
gonna
when they shoot. Match the colours for a damage boost. That's cool. The gun combat doesn't feel great. Feels kind of clunky, to be honest. Yeah, that's where we want to go. Into the mausoleum with a Grim Reaper over the top of it. Pull the lever and jump into a hole. I don't remember being in an Egyptian area the last time I played this game. So this looks like I'm going to have to solve a puzzle. Ah, stand on these symbols. It allows me safe passage. Cool. If we stand on this mine, is anything going to happen? But let's try that again. What happens if you die in the tutorial? Do you get like a big pop-up saying you're a donkey? If not, you should. Okay, stealth section. Very difficult. Ooh. it almost got me, to be fair. I was joking about the difficulty, but we almost made a donkey mistake. So we've electrocuted the robot. 3691. I forgot that about this game. It does require a bit of perception. 3691. There's a lot of puzzles like this where you'll need to remember a number or remember information to solve a quest. It's actually one of the unique things about the questing in this game. Oh wow. Futuristic New York City by the looks of it. Oh, Cthulhu's here. That's a cool way to start the game, isn't it? Fighting against a giant alien monster like that. I don't know if bullets are really going to kill that thing. We probably want a few army tanks to shoot rockets down its mouth, and it's disappeared. If you haven't been able to tell already, this game's heavily inspired by Lovecraft. So now we're getting confident with our magic, we can now control it. So this is how you get recruited into the Illuminati, is it? You learn how to do magic and then this bloke knocks on your door in the middle of the night. Bunch of people hanging out, no one seems to be bothered that I'm wearing full military gear with 2 handguns on my waist. I guess that's just normal in New York, isn't it? Walk around strapped to go into the laundromat. Okay, and we have arrived at the secret underground bunker of the Illuminati. Now that's more like it. I wonder if a place like this really exists in real life. It's been 5 years since I played this game, but I can still remember the intro. It's all the same by the looks of it. Equip my secondary weapon, I got a shotgun. Big boy pops out, filthy mass. I know a lot of humans that are described as that. That's me in the morning. It's an alien wild boar. To be fair, in most MMOs you fight boars at the start. So this one's staying true to the genre. Good fight, traditional MMORPG trope. And now we're in the middle of the galaxy. Pretty cool scene, to be fair. Cool design. Is it another player? Yeah, that's another player. Maxed out in like level 70 legendary gear. Wow, I wasn't even expecting to see other players, especially here. Going into this game, I wasn't expecting anyone to play the game whatsoever at this point, because I haven't heard anyone talk about the secret world for years. I wasn't even sure if this game was still running. I thought it might have been shut down a while ago, but apparently not. Seems like the game's gone through absolutely 0 changes since the last time I played it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm actually going to go play my character which I had from a few years ago. Jump on this character, level 13, the lazy peon. Probably got more abilities and stuff unlocked on this guy. So this character's not Illuminati. He is a Templar and uses a sword and a shotgun. Pretty cool combo, really. Quick work of these things. Slice it with my sword. Big damage. I like how each of the quests in this game have multiple steps to them. Makes it a little bit more interesting than the standard one-step quest where you do one thing, do that thing, and then the quest's just over. Siphon gas from the abandoned car. Realistic mission, given the circumstances. Takes quite a few quests to level up in this game, to be fair. You've unlocked a new teleport location. Okay. Oh wow, so these are all of the different places you can go to in the game. You go to Egypt later on, Scorched Desert, Transylvania, Tokyo. Wow. Some of these later zones look really cool. The game has some very interesting zones then. Illuminati Underground solo instance, okay. This is exactly what I'd expect from an Illuminati hangout. Bunch of artifacts, skulls, magic books, symbols. Looks like I've got a puzzle on my hands here. If you're someone that loves MMOs that make you constantly think when you're doing the questing, then you might enjoy this game because a lot of the quests do take a bit of brain power. So much so that half of the time you're just going to end up going on Google. Like, I've filled all of these holes with the correct symbols and I don't really understand what I need to do next. Right, you have to do it in a specific order. My issue was I was just picking them up one at a time, then instantly putting them in the holes. So I didn't really get the chance to see that that was how it works. Ooh, this zone has some different monsters. What the fuck is that? Half raccoon, half bat? This is gruesome. Zombie arched over the mailbox getting eaten by a crow. Pretty cool. What are these people? Hello, friends. This guy looks British for some reason. Chips!
and that hamburger with a bottle of water.
I like the look of this zone. Nice atmosphere to it, very creepy. Okay, some cool environment design going on here. This zone reminds me of Reekwater from New World. Congratulations, you've unlocked the Agents Network. Press hotkey P. Click on the mission and deploy the agent to the mission. Mission complete. We get some XP. So that seems to be a little bit like WoW's garrisons. Send them off on missions, give you a bit of passive XP and stuff. Yeah, this is where I want to go. Into an alien nest with alien ball sacks. It just sounds like STDs in here. What's shooting me? Wait, what? The zombies are shooting me? Oh, bloody hell, they're absolutely fucking me up. Well, that caught me off guard. So when you die, you go into this anima form. Basically just like World of Warcraft. Nice simple quest, just go to the area, kick some ass. Sometimes it's nice to get your standard kill quest because there's so many quests that just require quite a lot of attention. Requires your full focus, requires puzzle solving. Sometimes it's nice to just mindlessly kill things. So now I've got to use my perception to find cameras. Am I blind? No, I can't be. I've got my gamer glasses on. This might be one of those quests where you're better off opening up Google. Another thing that I really don't like about this game is there's no visual progression with your gear. All of these armor pieces don't change how your character looks. If you want to change your appearance, you need to go to dressing room and buy things off the cash shop. I ain't doing that. Bless me, seriously. I need as many blessings as I can get whilst I'm playing this game. Oh, these random loot boxes that open. Oh, it's that thing that free-to-play games do where they'll drop loot boxes from mobs, but you need to pay money to open the loot boxes. Mount outfit piece. Okay, yeah, I ain't doing that. Fusion. Now, what does fusion do? Fuse max level weapons of the same type and quality to improve quality. Right, so now if I get another blade and get that to level 20, yeah, put this here, that's going to turn it into a blue. Okay, that's cool. Massive upgrade. Something that really annoys me about this game is you can only have one mission ongoing at once, and if you select another mission, it cancels your current mission. The reason for that is probably that the game wants you to focus on the story and just focus on one mission at a time. I'm surprised, I'm level 17 and I still haven't got gloves, I haven't got these 2 ring slots and this book slot. Be interested to see when I start becoming fully equipped. Oh, I've actually got a timer here. The timer's ticking down, so if I spend too long trying to find the raven, the quest will fail. I like that. It requires a bit of perception. Some of the quests in this game are really good and quite enjoyable, but some of them just bloody suck. This was one of those quests that was simple, required a bit of thought, but not too much that I needed to Google something. Some of the quests are a bit hit or miss. Quest complete. Good quest, I enjoyed that one. Kill the wisps. With angered balls of green. Why though? I'm not sure how my bullets are hurting this thing, but die you ethereal menace. Feels like it's been a while since I've unlocked an ability. Dancing Blade, 20 AP. Let's give it a try. So this is my sword elite ability. Big damage. Ooh. Yeah, that's big damage. 20-second cooldown. Very nice. So there's zombies everywhere, and you've just left the doors open, and you're just hanging out in this office. My immersion. So there's some symbols on the floor. Oh, I need to like step on them in a certain order. Big XP. Level 20. I feel like I've played enough at this point to get a feel for whether or not this game holds up or not in 2023. So let's end it there. The Secret Worlds 2023 pros and cons. Pros. The game has a unique setting compared to other MMOs, blending elements of modern day, horror and mythology is quite interesting. I like the environment design in this game. There's a lot of diverse zones that will take you all over the world, and the zones themselves are quite large. The game actually has a classless combat system. You can use any combinations of weapons you like, and eventually level up every weapon on one character if you like. This means that unless you want to join a different secret society, there's no real need for alts. The game is free to play. If you like story-driven MMORPGs and puzzle solving, then you might enjoy this game, and if you're in need of a dopamine detox, then this game is perfect for you, because after playing this for a few hours, the idea of driving to 7-Eleven to pick up washing detergent sounded appealing. Cons: the game felt dead. Outside of the few people I saw at the start of the game in the Hollow Earth, I didn't see a single other player running around the zones. The combat system is about as fun as getting your head flushed down the toilet. The questing, whilst certainly unique, did start to feel exhausting after a while. It felt like the XP rewards were all over the place. Some quests would give me 2k XP for 5 steps and 15 minutes of effort, whilst others would give me 2k XP for 1 step and 5 minutes of effort. I'd prefer it if they rebalanced the questing so you could just follow the MSQ all the way to max level. Right now, as a free-to-play player, you kinda need to do a lot of side quests to keep up with the MSQ level curve. The game has zero sense of progression from leveling up, as gear is just jewelry and weapons, and the overall gameplay of real life is more fun than this game, so I can't really think of a good reason to play it over.
Oh, it was mean, but yeah, I'm sure he's right. I just wanted to know. Worst MMO ever. Just Strife Haze, yeah. Okay, let's see what else is on the agenda. Wait. Oh no, I didn't dump. Come on. God damn it, go back. I didn't dump.
Warp drive active.
So annoying. Okay, I'm gonna start like unloading too. Like I don't know, like this thing. Yeah, this part of it is dead. I'm gonna get some of this out of here. Why would you open this? I'm close enough. Open it. Oh no, I'm on the wrong screen. I guess. Yeah, I am. Oh no, I'm still mining, huh? Okay, well, whatever. Oops. Oh, no, I'm out of this. Link fucks me so bad. Like, I can't do anything about it. It's so annoying.
Docking request accepted.
Okay. I am trying to get around. Oh, I'm going to that thing? Oh, yeah, I am going to that. Okay, well, now I know. Oh, yeah, also... I want to go respec, but, yeah, like my, yeah, I'd have to fly back. I will have to fly back. I guess I could go get the flight path to Stranglethorn and fly to the Druid Trainer. And respec, because this place is a little scary without the right spec. Like, they had me on the wrong spec. But yeah. There's a mound of loose dirt. Oh, yeah, I see it. Okay. Miss. Ah, damn it. No. I'm gonna go get this flight point since I'm here. So I can get back here again. And I'll go respec real quick. I mean, it'll suck, it'll take time, but whatever. I don't care. I need to respec. This spec is garbage, and I don't know why I'm still in it. It was only good for level 25. It's no good for 28. It's terrible. Oh no, there's no flight path here yet. There's no flight path here yet. Oh, oops. Okay, well, I mean, yep, nice. I mean, yeah, I'm just gonna disenchant that, or I don't know. That's
What can I help
probably
you with?
better sold, frankly.
Go with honor, friend.
Yeah. What was that? That was like me setting off a horror, or yeah, a horde. Yeah. Uh-oh. Just gonna leave now. I don't know why I came over here. Damn it. Gotta kill wolves, but I want to go respec. Yeah, I'm just gonna go respec. I don't care. It's fun.
Warp drive active. Warp drive active.
Welcome, my sister. If you're here to train, then I would be delighted to train you. There will be a time soon where the call of the Emerald Dream will take hold in you. You will hibernate for many years and walk amongst the purest of forms. It is there and then that your ultimate training will take place. Welcome, my sister. If you're here to train, then I would be delighted to train you. There will be a time soon where the call of the Emerald Dream will take hold in you. You will hibernate for many years and walk...
Shut up, you. I'm gonna do the voiceover off. Oops. So we're gonna come to this. I'm gonna turn the voiceovers off and the immersion off because it's messing with the turn-ins and stuff. It's so annoying. I guess you can't respec here, which is so stupid, but I mean, that's fine, whatever. Let's go do it in Darnassus. I've got to go there anyways.
Greetings, goddess.
Much better. I don't want them nattering at me anymore. Or well, no. I bet the immersion is fine. Actually, I'm gonna turn the immersion back on. Or not the immersion, but the yeah, the immersion's messing with me a little bit, but it's like it's fine. But the voiceovers are good. Those are good. Yeah, I'm just gonna do the voiceover, right? We're gonna turn the voiceover back on, but I'm gonna set it so that it doesn't do like NPCs that aren't quest givers. Oh, good. I can set it to just turn off. Good. There. That was the setting I was looking for. Yep. Better.
Warp drive active. Warp drive active.
Listen to what Kira has to say about Remnant 2. Thank you, Kira, for the excellent content from my stream. I'd like to sub to your channel.
It's really real rare that I get to do a review of a video game because I typically just play video games for fun and don't really, put them on the YouTube channel. And I wrote about a 3,000 word script going over just why this game's so great and why I wanted to, break the rules and make a video about it. And then I realized the chances that I get around to, reading the script and then editing all the footage and everything together, I probably wouldn't record the video, and that would be a shame because I thoroughly want to recommend this game to pretty much everybody because it's just such a great game, which I didn't really think I'd be saying going into it. So over the Christmas period, I decided, you know, I want to try and find a co-op game to play with a couple of my friends, my brother, and we stumbled upon a few. You know, we were playing the hits at the time, you know, Phasmophobia and Lethal Company, stuff like that, which were all real fun. And then I said, you know, let's try Remnant 2. It's free on Game Pass. It's only been on there for a couple months. They've just released a new big DLC. Let's give that a go. And man, I wasn't expecting to still be playing it a few weeks later with over 100 hours in the game and being just thoroughly impressed with pretty much everything that I experienced. So first off, what is Remnant 2? Well, if you like Souls games, if you like shooter games, then you're probably going to like it because it kind of plays like a shooting Souls game, only with a whole bunch of flair and twists within there. So basically, you're rolling around, you're dodging attacks, you're killing bosses, you're attacking enemies. It has one of the most satisfying, fun shooting systems in a game that I've played in a real long time. The hitboxes in the game are absolutely immaculate. It's just a joy to play from start to end. And speaking of start to end, this game doesn't really have a very clear end until, you know, 100+ hours in, because there's just so much stuff to do. In fact, the biggest problem with the game, in my opinion, is as soon as you go into the game, you don't really know how much there is, and you might quit quite early on, just not knowing what there is within there waiting for you. When I first started playing the game, I was like, oh, this is cool. And it was one of those where it crept on me, where hour after hour, I was saying to myself, oh, that's really awesome. That's fantastic. That's great. Until the point where I was like, okay, this is a game I'm going to be playing a whole bunch, and also a developer I'm going to be watching for a real long time to see if they continue doing this, because it's just that good of a game. Now, the beginning is kind of a little bit off-putting just because the intro to the game is slow, it's unnecessary in my opinion. It introduces you to the story, which wasn't a big selling point for me on the game. The game world is really cool, and the setting, but the story just didn't really do anything for me. I felt like it wasn't really necessary, but I guess I know why they included it. And then unfortunately, you have to play probably about 30 minutes until you can actually start doing co-op, which is a big selling point of the game. And that's when I ran into my first problem, which is, unfortunately, at least on Game Pass, and I know if you Google this, people on Steam have this issue too, the game has some unfortunate optimization issues in terms of the game crashes quite a bit. I think it's improved recently in the last like month or so since they released another patch, but the game was crashing for us fairly frequently, to the point where my brother, who was going to play in the 3-man co-op with us because it is 1 to 3 players, decided he wasn't going to play because it was just crashing so often, which is a shame. But as soon as you actually get into the game and get playing, what it is a class-based shooter where basically you choose your difficulty of the game world and it generates a seed which has essentially a whole bunch of maps that are stitched together, going zone by zone with a loading screen in between. There's multiple worlds which are all varied. The enemy diversity is fantastic, to be honest. There's multiple bosses, sub-bosses per map, and there's events. And then the biggest selling point of the game is that obviously you build your character in the way you would an ARPG. You know, you're getting things that do plus poison damage, plus bleed damage, and there's hundreds of these, and it's in the way of rings, amulets, and then overall you have your armor. Then you can put mutations on your weapons and things like that, and you can upgrade it all as you go along. The way that you find these things is why I say when you first start the game, you might be a little bit, you know, off-put by how little stuff you're actually gaining, and that's because this game has one of the best secret systems in a modern game that I played. It really is amazing. You can go through and play this game, and I've completed the campaign I think like 9 times at this stage, all the way through on the highest difficulty. Every time you run it, it will be slightly different because of the way that they seed the map and how they stitch their maps together. But not only that, there's going to be stuff you miss every single time unless you're looking up a guide for every map that you walk into. And even if you're doing a guide for every map you walk into, there's going to be stuff that you can only get when you have a certain seed of the world stitched in the right way together, which might sound annoying, but because the minute-to-minute gameplay and the variety of the builds and the classes and things like that, it's not, because every time you're going in, you're testing a new build, you're doing things more efficiently, and the actual minute-to-minute gameplay is so fun that you don't care. You're actually having a good time just running the world again. Obviously, I don't want to get too spoilery with how you find some things, but there's stuff like you get a necklace from doing like a combination of quests together in a very specific way that would be maybe counterintuitive to how you'd normally do it. And then if you walk past a statue wearing this necklace, the statue will open a hole in the ground and there'll be a special item within there. And there's literally hundreds of these secrets throughout the game. It can be as easy as going off the beaten path and finding a chest that you otherwise wouldn't have seen. Or it can be as specific as farming a map for a real long time, repeatedly running it over and over again to get coins, to then bribe a boss who will then give you items. And then in that same save, maybe you can go and kill another boss and then come back to it later, and that boss that you bribed would be there and he'd reward you for basically helping him ascend to the throne. Is that too spoilery? Maybe, who knows. But it's hard to describe just how good and how in-depth the system is and how fun it is to discover things or even look them up and be like, wow, that's cool design. So the game obviously has difficulty levels, so you can choose whether you want to play it on real easy or, you know, real hard. And I figured this would just bullet sprint the enemies, right? And the bosses in the game are really well designed and there's some really difficult encounters in there. And I thought, oh, you know, more difficulty is just going to make things hit harder and it's going to take longer to kill things. But there's actually new abilities and changed abilities on the bosses as you go through the game and rank up that difficulty, which was a really interesting thing that I've not seen one of these games do before. And it's just really satisfying how you can play through the game and feel like, oh, I don't know anything and this boss is kicking my ass. And then later on, you're doing it again and you're like, oh, you know, I've done this, I'm going to be good at it. And then it does new stuff and you're like, oh fuck. And then eventually when you fulfill that, you'll come back to the boss later on that same difficulty and you'll feel that meaningful progression of not only your gear and your understanding of your character, but also the understanding of the boss. I honestly have almost nothing bad to say about this game, which is really rare. The only two negatives I have is that there seemed to be a memory leak and there was a bunch of crashing, especially in multiplayer. And on the Xbox app, which obviously you use in the Game Pass, so maybe on Steam this isn't a problem, inviting people on Xbox app just sucks. Fuck knows how that company is so rich and has one of the worst multiplayer systems for inviting people into games and having it just work. But there we go. On Game Pass, you can only play the base game and you have to buy the DLC additionally, which I think is completely fair and fine, because honestly, after playing this game for a few hours, you probably will eventually want to buy the DLC if you vibe with it at all, because legit I couldn't put this game down and it's just a fantastic experience from beginning to end. I think the developer's planning a couple more DLCs, and I sincerely hope that if they make Remnant 3, which I really hope that they do, that the game is just this but expanded, because honestly they've got a formula here that you can tell the devs really love this game, and if they continue to build upon that, this is clearly going to be one of my favorite franchises ever in gaming, because it is honestly just that fun of an experience. I typically don't replay games. I'm not that kind of person. Once I've finished a game, I'm putting the game down and I'm moving on to something else. Remnant, I had to legit stop myself from playing the game because I'd unlocked basically everything. I was chasing like a couple last secret items, and then Season of Discovery's just come out on WoW, and I have an obligation to play with my friends in raid and things like that, so I'm like, I have to level, I have to stop playing Remnant 2. But it's one I'll definitely be coming back to as soon as they release that next DLC or another version of the game, Remnant 3 or whatever. Yeah, definitely be right back there. So yeah, I think that'll do it. There's only so much I can wax lyrical about it, because people typically don't like watching reviews where you're really positive about a game you really enjoyed that's fantastically good, because they'll say, oh, you were paid for that video and you're shilling or whatever. But honestly, just give it a go. It's free if you have Game Pass. Obviously, Game Pass is like a $10 or whatever month subscription. And this is, in my opinion, one of the most fun games on there, and probably I'd say one of the most fun games I've played in recent years. Honestly, it's just a treat to play. From the very bare bone mechanics of what you see, what you feel when you're playing, it's just a treat. And when you get more into the game, it's one of those where there's just every layer you peel of this onion, there's just more and more depth, more flavor, and it's just overall great. Hopefully they fix the optimization and the crashing issues, and hopefully they release more content so I can buy it and support this developer, because goddamn, is it a good game? So thanks for watching. One of the rare Kira positive videos. All my magic cards are falling over. Go to the link in the video description. Buy Gamersupps. They support me. Obviously, you guys all support me as well. But if you want to buy Gamersup, you can do so with my affiliate code. It gives me a kickback. You get money off, so win-win for everybody. And there's loads of people in my community that have been buying it, and they're all very, very pleased. It's basically a powder. You put it in water, you drink it. You can have caffeinated, uncaffeinated. If you're like me, who drinks a whole bunch of water and likes a bit of variety sometimes, you know, keto friendly, no sugars, then you'll probably enjoy some of these flavors because they are just nice. On top of that, you can also buy snacks and stuff on there. Waifu cups, which are just shakers with, you know, big titted anime girls on, which is, you know, a star. Or if we're going by the Ubisoft method, it's a quadruple A standard shaker cup. But there we go. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Peace.
I hate multiverses. The one sure way to destroy every story you might wanna tell is to set it in a No. Multiverse, as I'm sure many
is depleted.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch this new video from somebody I've never seen before called General Sam. Thank
So
you
the
for
Enshrouded
excellent
game
content from
came
Stream.
out.
Like and sub.
It's one of those open world.
Yep. Oh, that's 31, is it? Okay, so... So yeah, that's too steep. It's not worth it. It might save some lives, but it's not worth it. Not worth it. I need to tilt my chair back. Okay.
Where you have this little man, and then you craft things with him, and you progress. You make a house, you build mode, and there's open world. But here's my gripe with games like this. I already got shit going on in my day-to-day life, dude. I got kids to feed. I got my own food to eat. I got my own asshole to wash. I don't want to fucking do it to this little guy too. Collecting plant fiber, making drying racks, constructing houses, making fires, crafting beds, crafting workbenches, smelters, breaking rocks to make a pick so that I can break down more advanced rocks. I look at that big list of crafting crap, and then I look out the window and see how beautiful it is outside. I don't know, dude. Am I becoming like a grass-touching enthusiast or something? The last thing I want to do is that big list of dog shit. But don't worry, I found an alternative. Enshrouded has this cool system where certain parts of the map are covered with this fog, and they're called enshrouded areas. And then there's like a more advanced enshrouded area that just, it kills you when you go in there. And they use these enshrouded areas to kind of gatekeep you from getting to certain in-game parts of the map without progressing. What you could do is upgrade your house, and as you upgrade it to like level 2 and 3, it pushes back those enshrouded areas, unlocking different areas of the map and further quests and stuff. Or you can craft a wingsuit and a pickaxe, and you can make your own way.
So we found out the loot in this game is not like scaled. The loot that's in the level 30 areas is high-end, it's like in-game gear, and you can use it as a level 1. So all we have to do is be able to get to it, you know, and we can't go through the enshrouded areas, so we must travel above them. Okay, write these down to your mind. Shroud wood, animal fur, string, shroud spores. You can make a glider and a grappling hook with those things.
Hey, we got enemies, I'm gonna wait up here for you guys. Line up. Look intimidating.
Red barrel, blow it up!
Oh, you fucking dumb bitch.
I can be revived, fungal.
He's playing copyrighted music in the background of the thing.
Pick me up!
Hey, I got you, dog. Hey, Sam, red barrels, blow them up. Nice.
Yeah, that's no good. Oh yeah, he modded Fallout 3. Okay, here's Lone Vault Wanderer again.
So, everyone's been screaming lately about wanting a remaster of Fallout 3. Now, don't get me wrong, I really want it too. But what if I told you that today, you can transform your game on PC from looking like this to looking like this? In this video, I'm going to show you some of the best and easiest to install graphical mods on Nexus, all of which are linked in the description below. Plus, I'll also highlight important things you need to be aware of, like alternative mods, unique installation requirements, or even complementary mods.
Boring, but I gave him the hit. I don't want to watch that. I'm sorry, I've done it so many times I don't care. Helldivers 2 came out and it's made some impressions. What game? Oh yeah, Dragon's Dogma 2 is
finally happening. Dragon's Dogma is back.
Thank you,
After
GamerX,
teasing
for
this thing for so long, a lot of people were starting to wonder if it was ever really going to happen.
Yeah.
We're finally getting a proper sequel to one of the strangest, most innovative action RPGs of all time. The original game was kind of an anomaly when it came out in 2012, especially here in the West. The first Dark Souls had only just come out, and the Monster Hunter series was still this niche thing that only hardcore players really had any interest in. For most people, Dragon's Dogma's main point of comparison was Skyrim, which it's nothing like at all. Most people didn't know what to make of the game, and at least some of that blame falls squarely on Capcom themselves. They wanted Dragon's Dogma to be their Skyrim, after all. Japan is just weird like that. When Sony wanted their own Skyrim, From Software made Demon's Souls. When Capcom wanted it, they made Dragon's Dogma. The original is janky, it's weird, it's got a ton of inexplicable and confusing mechanics, but it's also extremely fun. It's got one of the best character creators of all time, and the combat is some of the most varied and interesting in any action RPG. The first game never quite managed to reach Capcom's high expectations for it. Sales weren't terrible, but as of 2023, the series has sold about 8 million copies, which isn't bad. Clearly they were expecting more though, otherwise we probably would have had a sequel earlier. Keep in mind, we've gone from Dark Souls 2 all the way to Elden Ring in the time it's taken to get one proper sequel here, so I really see Dragon's Dogma 2 as kind of a redo or reboot for the series, giving it another shot in the gaming market that's probably a lot more receptive to what the series is doing, and I think the potential here is huge. Monster Hunter games are bigger than ever. Capcom has been on a roll these past few years, putting out all these Game of the Year contenders left or right. Elden Ring blew up the charts, left people hankering for a new open world action RPG. All the stars are aligned to make Dragon's Dogma 2 a success, which feels crazy to me. As a fan of the original, I never really thought we'd see the day where a game like this could be a mainstream thing. As much as I love the first game, it's not perfect. It can be odd and confusing. The story kind of bare bones and awkwardly presented. The pawn system is very strange, but all those things were considered weaknesses, and they can be strengths in the sequel. There's an opportunity to take what worked about the game and refine the elements that didn't work as well. And from everything I've seen in the pre-release footage, it kind of looks like that's exactly what they did. Until I actually get my hands on the game, I obviously can't say for sure, but everything I've seen so far looks really promising. So let's talk about the nitty-gritty here. Let's talk about what Dragon's Dogma
I agonized over blowing like 2 gold on pots. I could do that. You know, I just posted a bunch of stuff. I suppose I will buy a bunch of pots, yeah. It's alright. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Nope, that was 9's enough. I mean, I'm gonna buy the other one because I have stuff waiting. I've got sales coming. Yep, got auctions coming in of about a gold 50 or something like that, and I was posted a bunch more. So, I feel like that'll sell. So, yep. So yeah, we'll do one more, and that's good. And I broke myself again, but that's all right. Okay, so let us go back. Nice.
Everything I've seen in the trailers, take an in-depth look at what seems like it's going to stay the same, what's changing, and what improvements they may have been making to the formula. Keep in mind, I don't have any special insights here. I'm just somebody who really enjoyed the first game, and I've been combing through the pre-release information about as best as I can, and obviously the final release, it could end up different. The one thing I will say really has me hopeful here is that Hideaki Itsuno is returning as director. He was in charge of the first game and is the main guy behind the good Devil May Cry games. He was the replacement director on Devil May Cry 2, but you can't really hold that against him. He's also responsible for the follow-up, Devil May Cry 3, which is like the high watermark for the series, like one of the best action games ever.
2 was a great
the
game.
guy still does stellar work, too. Look at Devil May Cry 5. That's him, too.
5
I mean, it's a
was
lot
not
of
as
other
good as
people,
2.
but he was at the helm. Dragon's Dogma is not Devil May Cry, though. It's an action RPG set in an open world where you pick a class, complete quests, and collect loot. On paper, it sounds like any other fantasy RPG, but when you're playing it, it's much closer to something like Monster Hunter, but open world. That's because your main goal is hunting monsters. But instead of dinosaurs and bears, you're fighting mythological creatures, and depending on your class, you get a bunch of different options for taking these beasts down. You can focus on heavy damage as a fighter, focus on spell casting as a mage, or use arrows and knives as a strider. Every vocation and advanced vocation gets their own unique abilities you can use, similar to cooldown moves in something like God of War. Magic users are especially interesting because unlike how passive they are in other RPGs, or at least tend to be, playing as a mage can be really intense as a fighter, and they eventually get access to some truly ridiculous spells. My personal favorite is probably the Strider, though. These guys focus on precise damage, and you can use bows to attack them from a distance, or knives to jump on a giant monster's back and stab their weak points. Any class can climb on enemies, but the Strider benefits the most from doing so. And also, just mentioning that, any enemy can be grappled onto, and gives the giant monster encounters a kind of Shadow of the Colossus feel. And then there's also the pawn system. This is where the game gets a bit weird. See, when you start a game, you design your character, and then you get to create a pawn, basically a custom party member in any other RPG, but with a really odd story function. As in Arisen, you have the power to command pawns, these weird robot-like beings that look like people but do whatever you say. You get the one you've created, and you can recruit 2 more from the Rift, the game's internet portal, which lets you use other people's pawns from around the world. Now, there's no multiplayer. You can't play with other players like in Monster Hunter. All you can do is recruit other players' pawns. And what makes pawns different from your standard AI-controlled party members is they start off at square one. They're pretty stupid and useless in battle at first, but they start to learn new tactics and ways to fight enemies as the game goes on. There's this AI learning system where they get smarter as they encounter different things in the world. They eventually require less hand-holding to get them through fights. It's a bizarrely in-depth system that has a lot of working parts, but basically doesn't actually affect what you're doing all that much. It's just one of those weird background systems that you hear about in RPGs sometimes, I guess. It's complex, it's strange, and it's also one of the most unique things about the game. There's also just a ton I could get into about how combat works in general. The various systems that govern how the story plays out, the awesome Dark Souls-inspired expansion, Dark Arisen, but I'll get into that stuff as we're talking about.
Perhaps a more suitable challenge
for Dragon's
could be found
Dogma
for one
2,
of your abilities.
there are some changes in the vocations. Now, instead of 3, there's 4. Warrior and Mage are the same,
but then,
Strider's been
with all
split
the
up
other
between
strange
Archer
creatures
and
that
Thief.
have moved
Along with
across
those
our
basic
borders, I
classes,
suppose it's
they've
only
shown
one
off
of
a
many
little more
concerns.
advanced vocations.
You might have
like
noticed some
Magic
larger
Archer,
worgen wandering
Magic
around with the
Spearman,
Shadow Weavers in
Sorcerer,
the woods.
and the most
From what we can
intriguing one-
tell, these Dark Runners make up the bulk of the worgen numbers. On my rangings, I've also noticed that they have overrun the rotting orchard southwest of town. These worgen are a bit tougher than the last you faced. Be on your guard.
The Trickster. These games have always had some pretty unusual classes, but Trickster sounds especially nuts. These guys use a magic sensor to create various illusions to trick enemies. In the pre-release trailers, I've seen them make decoys to draw away attention, make fake walls appear, use smoke to trick enemies into attacking each other. For an action game, that's
gonna
an
take
unusual
way
class.
less damage
I have
now.
no idea how effective they actually will be for dummies like me, but they look like a lot of fun to mess around with either way. But the thing that I will also say impresses me about this sequel is how similar it looks to the original. Capcom could have easily turned this game into Fantasy Monster Hunter and called it a day, but it seems like they're intentionally trying to preserve the mechanics of the original game. The controls look nearly identical, with some slight alterations here and there. There's no dedicated lock-on button. Certain abilities cause your character to lock onto enemies, but most regular attacks don't, which is where a lot of Monster Hunter comparisons come from. They don't have lock-on targeting or anything like that, if you're curious. You can still jump, grab enemies, use special class abilities, attack with heavy and light attacks. That's all the same, but there are now new vocation actions that are mapped to the R1 button on the controller, which let you do different things. Like the warrior can block, the thief can do a special dodge move, along with some classic returning monsters that look almost identical to how they looked in the original game, like the Cyclops and the Ogre. The trailers revealed a laundry list of new monsters to fight. There's a Minotaur, a Medusa, some slimes which are apparently impervious to physical damage, a Dullahan, a ghostly headless knight who reminds me of Death from the Dark Arisen add-on. One of the most spectacular new enemies shown so far is this thing they call the Talos, a giant statue from, something like looks straight out of Shadow of the Colossus. Like, it's very clearly inspired by that. It's covered in these glowing weak points that you have to scramble around to destroy. The game's still keeping things weird though, like with the Sphinx, an enemy that challenges you to solve riddles in an open world. If you get them right, it rewards you. If you answer wrong, it attacks. Monsters look pretty reactive in this game. They can run into walls, they can hurt themselves, you can find them fighting other monsters in the old world, and they actually are affected by characters grabbing onto them. For example, if a character grapples the monster's leg, it'll have trouble moving forward, or if you grab its arm, then the added weight slows it down. Climbing appears to have been made a little more effective as well. Now you can actually stand up on a beast's back or shoulders, which gives you more options for how to attack. Grabbing smaller enemies, also easier. You don't have to stun enemies anymore to grab them, which is great for people who can't stop tossing goblins off cliffs. It's one of the simple joys of the original, so I'm happy to see that it's been made more streamlined and easier to do here. One of the more disappointing aspects of the original game has also been rectified. When you grapple onto a griffin, you no longer get thrown off when it flies up in the air. Now you can cling to it and get a bird's eye view of the open world and ride the monster back to its nest to continue the fight. I mean, that is a great development. I love that. In regards to pawns, we're mostly relying on developer interviews here, but it sounds like they've been given a lot more reactive dialogue, which that means they're gonna respond to each other rather than just repeat a series of generic combat marks. The original game's pawns would repeat the same few lines over and over again, so giving them more varied things to say might be an improvement. Honestly, they just talk too much in general, so hopefully this game isn't repeating the Xenoblade problem where every battle's cacophony of noise from your party members blathering nonstop. The pre-release footage does seem like they toned that aspect down a bit, but I don't know for sure, obviously. Hopefully they'll give us a slider or something if it's too much. One thing I will say is it seems like they have been simplified. Instead of having multiple traits and secret traits like the original, every pawn looks like it has one inclination and one specialization that defines their characters. Inclinations are like personality types, while specializations are combat knowledge and skills. These affect how the pawns act in battle, and because the system is simplified, maybe it'll give devs more room to make the different types feel more distinct. A lot of the original game's combat looks to be retained for the sequel, but there are a few new mechanics to modernize the experience. The most noteworthy thing I noticed is how the game has new takedowns and cinematic moments where you perform a powerful execution attack against downed enemies. This works on little guys and big guys too, like knock a monster over and trigger a special attack that does a ton of damage, but unlike most games, I think there's no invincibility things for it in Dragon's Dogma 2, so it's not clear that you can get knocked out of the animation mid-swing. There's a white health mechanic play in the sequel, sort of like scratch damage that you can take over time that can't be recovered through normal means. In the original game, it was implemented as a way to keep players from exploring the open world too much. Eventually, they'd need to return to the main city to restore their health. In Dragon's Dogma 2, the lost health can be restored by resting at a camp. These heavy items need to be carried around, and they're consumed when you use them, but they allow you to restore yourself to max HP without having to go back to base. Dying also looks pretty significantly different. Now, instead of getting knocked out instantly if your health reaches 0, the game puts your character in a staggered state where they can use health items to get back up or have a pawn revive them before they're knocked out for good. As somebody who tends to play classes with less HP, this changes a lifesaver, and it's probably going to save me from a lot of deaths that would be instantaneous normally. There's a lot of other unusual systems at play here too, like for example, there are elves which speak their own language. As shown in the gameplay showcase, your character doesn't know Elvish, so if you want to speak with elves, you need a pawn who can speak Elvish. There's also an entirely new game, these animal hybrids called Beastren, who were actually originally meant to be in the first game, but after that game's content got caught in development. Now they're in the sequel and they play a prominent role in the story. It seems like the focus is on two kingdoms, each with their own ideas of how to deal with the dragon problem. The story kind of seems like a reboot of the original game. Starting point's the same. You're an Arisen who had your heart taken by the dragon, so now you have to hunt the beast down to regain your humanity. That's completely the same, but in the sequel you start off in a dungeon. People call you a false Arisen. They're distrustful of you rather than your character being instantly hailed as a chosen one like in the first game. The Beastren apparently play a major part in the story, but what's particularly interesting about them is that you can actually play as one, and that affects how NPCs react to you. I'm guessing the story's mostly the same, but it's an interesting gesture, and I'm curious to see how much the story changes depending on what race you play as. To make a long story short, it looks like a huge game with a ton going on for it. There appears to be some streamlining for some of the more obscure systems from the original, but overall it looks like it's holding on to the stuff that made the original great.
I missed
the pawn system
somehow.
is back, the character creation looks as robust as before, and I haven't even talked about the clothing layer system from the original. It's still the best armor system I've ever seen. The amount of variety that you can have for each character in terms of what they're wearing is unbelievable, and it looks like the sequel's keeping all of it. If there's one potentially disappointing aspect about the game, it's that just like the original, there is no multiplayer. You can't play this co-op like a Souls game. There's no Monster Hunter style team play. It's just you and pawns. On some level, I don't hate that. I love single player games. It's a big thing for me. But this is also the type of game where I think it kind of still feels like a single player game when you're playing with more people, but you're playing with more people and it's social and fun at the same time. It's not that big of a disappointment though, because I mean, it's Dragon's Dogma 2. I don't think that I'm gonna be not playing it because I can't play a co-op. I'll also say I'm not gonna be not playing it due to system requirements. They're actually pretty reasonable. On PC at least, the recommended specs are just an RTX 2080 or RX 6700. For such a visually impressive game, it must be pretty well optimized. It also has DLSS support right from the gate, which is very appreciated. The Resident Evil 4 Remake PC version actually wasn't that bad as far as PC ports go, so I've got pretty high hopes for this one. There have been a ton of shoddy PC ports lately, but Capcom seems to be doing better about it, so I'm fairly hopeful for it. It's been a long wait, but Dragon's Dogma 2 is finally coming out March 22nd. The original was underappreciated at the time that it came out, but I think the sequel is really primed to be a huge hit. I think the mystique around the original got a lot of people interested. A lot of people are holding out for a sequel because they've been talking about a sequel, and that makes sense. The first game's more than 10 years old at this point. It's hardly a perfect game, but it's great. And the expectation I have is that the sequel is probably going to be even better, fixing a lot of the things that weren't perfect about the original. To put it mildly, the hype is real for this one. So, Capcom, don't screw it up. No pressure or anything. And that's all for today. Leave us a comment. Let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every day of the week. Best way to see them first is, of course, a subscription, so click subscribe. Don't forget to enable notifications. And as always, we thank you very much for watching this video. I'm Falcon. You can follow me on Twitter at FalconHero. And we'll see you next time right here on Game Ranks.
When I was a young little boy, I had a PS2, a race car bed, and unmonitored access to the family computer. This has caused irreversible damage. Back in the 2000s,
Nope.
flash games were as close to the Wild West internet as you could get.
Nope. Grand Blue Fantasy Relink. Here is Ultima Online in 2024 is wild.
Oh, stop!
Now we could truly experience Ultima Online. To the west of New Haven, there was one of many moon gates that allowed you to fast travel anywhere. Ultima Online, a fantasy MMO RPG set in the world of Britannia that was originally released.
Thank you for the excellent content for my stream, Mr. Pixel Rookie. I've liked and subbed to your channel.
In 1997 and was well known for its extensive PvP combat and incredibly versatile character customization. This bad boy had 8 expansion packs and a free-to-play update in 2018 that helped keep the game active over 25 years later. You see, for context, when I was about 10 or 11 years old, I remember going to my local EvE game store and seeing the box for Ultima Online, which, you know, over 2 decades ago, it was the first and only MMORPG I've ever heard of. Every time I went there, I'd always check it out and fantasize about how cool it would be to play with thousands of other people in this fantasy epic. But my hopes and dreams were quickly extinguished when I saw the $10 monthly subscription fee, something that 10-year-old me just couldn't afford at the time. I recently remembered my childhood dream of playing Ultima Online and was inspired to jump into the game a quarter of a century later to finally experience it. This is Eric with Pixel Rookie, and this is Ultima Online in 2023. Because the game went free to play in 2018, installing the game was easy enough. I booted up the game and realized that I needed to create an account using EA Origin. I was finally able to log in and began creating my character. Wanting to keep things simple, I chose a human warrior template. Meet Hot Dog. When I confirmed my choices and entered the game, I was greeted with a lot of stuff. I spawned into New Haven, the game's tutorial location, and was experiencing a complete sensory overload. After my ears stopped bleeding from the cacophony of overly loud music and sounds, I was bombarded with windows all over the screen. Pretty much all of Ultima Online's UI is customizable, and you can move everything around to your liking. For now, I just pushed the menus out of the way enough that it was manageable, and once that was taken care of, I found myself standing directly beside an NPC with the tried and true quest marker exclamation point above his head. Hot Dog's very first quest, which was to escort him to the New Haven docks, which was like maybe 50 paces from where he was standing. Okay then. Let's do this. After successfully completing my first quest, I was handsomely rewarded with 500 gold. That's when I realized that pretty much all the quests in New Haven were simple escort requests to other areas of the town or gathering a number of simple items to help new players familiarize themselves with the basics and get to know their way around the town. Now, Ultima Online is very much a sandbox-style MMO that doesn't really hold your hand with what to do. Because of this, I came up with my own goal, which would be my win condition for Ultima Online. I wanted to conquer at least one dungeon and obtain enough wealth to buy my character a plot of land, a boat, and build a house where he could settle down. This was the motivation for Hot Dog. I had to get moving if I wanted to complete my objective. The only other quests available in New Haven were for leveling up skills and getting items as a reward to help with that respective skill. Oh, and another thing to mention that's something unique to Ultima Online is that there are no actual classes in the game and you don't level up, at least not in the traditional sense. You have a vast number of different skills you can choose to increase its level by using that particular skill. For example, if you want to become a better sword fighter, you fight monsters using a sword-type weapon and slowly increase your combat abilities. Think Elder Scrolls Morrowind style. Since my focus was being a warrior, I accepted the quest for combat-related skills and I was told to go to Old Haven, which was nearby and overrun with monsters. I left the safety of New Haven's walls and found my first enemy, a zombie. It was time to prove myself through honorable combat. Except, I couldn't figure out how to attack it? Why can't I attack you? Let me hit you! Oh yeah, I completely forgot that you had to toggle on war mode if you want to attack stuff. Once I activated war mode, the music got intense. Hot Dog initiated combat with the zombie and an epic battle commenced. A skeleton was patrolling near me, and I was still riding the high from my first victory. I charged in, killing the skeleton and another undead beast. Throughout the starting area, there were even wandering healers that would help heal you if your health was low. Once I was rejuvenated, I jumped back into the fray. Okay, so the music has to go. It's just not working for me. Oh, much better. Alright, where was I? I continued killing the undead that wandered the ruins of Old Haven while slowly growing my skills. Hot Dog had a long way to go, but this was a good start. I found a nice two-handed axe that did more damage than my starting sword and had a chance to proc some magic attacks too. Nice. I also discovered that toggling war mode on and off was really important when trying to speak with NPCs. A quest giver all the way out here in Old Haven? Oh crap, I'm sorry. No, please don't kill me. And that cool magic ability I could proc with my weapon, well, apparently it's an AoE that can target NPCs too. I'm so sorry. For a 25-year-old game, it was great still seeing other new players starting their own adventures in Old Haven. But that guy had a mount. I want a mount. I found the stables at New Haven and spoke to the animal trainer. A horse was only 616 gold, and I already accrued over 4,000 gold. Nice. I requested one fine steed and accepted the purchase. Wait, what? I lack these funds in my bank account, but I have cash money on hand. Alright, so I went to the bank, and it took me about 10 minutes to figure out how to actually deposit gold into my bank box. But once it was done, I went back to purchase the fine stallion. The transaction was completed, and I was now the proud owner of my very own horse. I named my new companion Tao, after a good friend of mine. Now that I could move much more quickly, it was time to continue farming my skills. I'd accidentally click on Tao instead of the corpses of my enemies to loot, and it would cause me to dismount. I was quickly reminded that you need to be careful with toggling war mode on and off. I'm so sorry, Tao. Combat was easy enough when my tactics and swordsmanship skills were getting higher. That was until I heard a strange noise and saw an interesting message. Draugr the Impaler, eh? I found this Draugr punk in the middle of Old Haven and was feeling confident with my new weapon and my trusted steed. So it turns out that Draugr was a lot harder than the generic undead minions here and was doing more damage to me than I was to him. My life was low and he hit me with a spell that was just too much for me to handle. Hot Dog was killed by Draugr the Impaler. Luckily for me, as a new player, you're transported back to a healer in a nearby town with all your gear. I was resurrected, but I had to make my way back to Tao, which was quite the slog. Wait, Tao? Tao, is that you? It appeared that Draugr killed Tao immediately after I died. I took a moment to mourn his death and I found the jerk patrolling right beside me. I had to avenge Tao's death. Emotions were at an all-time high during the battle. Okay, yeah, he's still too strong for me to fight. I just have to avenge Tao another day. In the meantime, I'll find some more normal mobs to level up my skills. Are you serious? Ugh. Okay, well, I just have to be a little more careful next time. Ah, come on. Alright, well, I was able to get my swordsmanship skill up to level 50 and complete my first non-escort and NPC 25 feet from where they're standing quest. My reward was a nice one-handed sword that could replace my two-handed axe. My parry skill was high enough to complete its quest as well. I also needed a new horse, since Tao expired. A new steed was purchased, and I named it Tao 2. Feeling stronger than ever, I made my way back to Draugr, but I couldn't find him. I searched all of Old Haven, he was nowhere to be found. Ah, sweet, a captured prisoner that needs to be rescued. I just talked to him quick and oh crap. Oops. Wait, what happened to his clothes? When I went back into town, someone left a bunch of random gear on the ground that was way better than anything I had. I pretty much grabbed everything I could, and in an instant, I was way more powerful.
Erectus.
At this point, I was ready to leave the tutorial island and start my real journey through Ultima Online. That was until I convinced a couple of my friends from my Discord community, Endor and Drop Volcano, to play with me. Before we could set off, I had to help train them. I don't know how spellcasting works. I just unga bunga. Whoa!
I think I just created food. I made an apple! Just made a fucking apple, bro.
I am going to die.
I got you, homie.
Not enough, though. You ain't got me enough.
Oh, shit. Yeah, look at us go!
We're helping.
They were learning quickly, and then fate led me back to my arch nemesis. Who dared defiles? I'm Draugr the Impaler! That's the guy who killed me a bunch! Okay, we gotta find him.
Let's go fuck him up.
Yeah, get him!
Yeah, fuck him up.
The fight was very anticlimactic. The boys and I were trained up and ready to go. They just needed to purchase horses of their own and we could progress. It's actually just right here. You just click on this person and go to buy.
I can buy a cat. I can command the horse to kill? Oh, stop!
Now we could truly experience Ultima Online. To the west of New Haven, there was one of many moon gates that allowed you to fast travel anywhere in the game world. Picking randomly, we teleported to the Minok Moon Gate, which would be our very first impression of the rest of the world.
Oh, Lexa, what up?
After exploring the town of Minok, I was hungry to lead us into an adventure. I'm thinking out loud. If you look at your map, directly east of us, are the Eastern Mines. I don't know about you, but I kind of want to check out Mount Kendall. Check out those Eastern Mines.
Yeah, sure.
Oh yeah, here we go. This is definitely dungeon material. This looks like the... Oh. This can't be... Is this it? What? Was that the... Is that it? Was that the mines? That was all of Mount Kendall? Are you
This is
serious?
probably sitting there mine all the
Kendall
time.
was underwhelming to say the least, but I wasn't giving up yet. The Shrine of Sacrifice. Okay guys, do you see the Shrine of Sacrifice southeast of us? That's where I want to go. Are you guys cool with that?
Yeah, sure. You're the boss.
Is this it? Yeah, I found it. I don't know what it... Wait, is that a gorilla? The shrine has Harambe.
Got the blood shrine. This looks like some necromancer shit.
Is this what we came here for this crap?
Yes.
Shrines weren't really a place for
Drive
questing, but
active.
we didn't leave empty-handed. That was the quest. The prize is Harambe, the majestic silverback gorilla.
Hold still for a second. I want to try some.
Are you tame it?
Oh!
Did you just tame him?
I don't know.
Warp drive active.
You tamed him! You just got Harambe! Oh, did you hear him screaming? Yeah, that's perfect. We saved Harambe, and all was right in the world.
Oh no! No! No!
What happened?
Tell me Harambe just got murdered.
Harambe stuff.
No, no way.
Docking
Just got
request
murdered.
accepted.
He had a banana.
Alright, we must avenge Harambe.
Okay, I'm running. Fall back. Fall back. Fall back. Oh, I have no idea where Harambe's corpse is. Harambe's corpse was lost in the forest, and while our hearts were broken, we still didn't find a proper dungeon to
request
explore. That
accepted.
wasn't until I found something near the Minoc Moongate. Hey, come here, come with me. I found a hole. Have you been in the hole?
I don't know how to go in the hole.
There's a very big antlion bug. Whoa! Watch out! Watch out! Watch out! He's gonna pop out. Oh, no! Oh no! Okay. Oh no!
No!
Oh no! They're gonna kill. They're gonna eat Tao too. No! 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 Oh! It turned out the bug cave was a bit too hard for us, and Tao 2 was slaughtered. Endor had to leave, but I recruited another Discord member, Eerie, and he joined Drunk and I as we traveled to a nearby orc cave that was between the city of Bretagne and you. I kind of want to check out Orc Cave. Okay, guys, I'm checking out the cave. Oh my gosh. Okay, guys, this might have been a mistake. This might have been a mistake.
Hey, look, I'm doing damage.
Nice.
Oh, I died. I died. Oh, okay. I just got.
The orc cave was short-lived, and it felt like I still wasn't strong enough to explore much of the game's content yet. Drunk and Eerie logged off, but I continued exploring until I located a Shrine of Justice, where something interesting. As I was dealing with an annoying heartbeat that attacked me, a red portal suddenly appeared inside the shrine. 3 players appeared from the portal, one of them named Saul Goodman, who was really vocal in the general chat. These guys looked like seasoned veterans, and I was asking them questions about how to not suck at the game, but they politely let me know that they were doing something urgent and weren't able to help me. I bid them farewell and continued on my way. After that, fate led me to a peaceful area where I found another noble silverback gorilla. A gorilla! Hot Dog's taming skill was 0, so there was no way I could tame it myself. But the option was there, and I had to try. I won't hurt you. I promise to take good care of you. Ooh, I got Harambe! Oh, this Harambe Jr. Oh, yes! This is perfect. Follow me. To ensure that I didn't make the same mistake as last time, I walked Harambe Jr. and Tau 4. Yep, Tau 4. Don't worry about Tau 3. Anyways, I walked them to the nearest Moongate and traveled back to New Haven. For a small fee, I was able to keep Harambe in an animal shelter where he would be safe from harm. I knew I was still doing something wrong with my character and wanted to get stronger, so the next day I took to asking the general chat for some help on how to acquire a better weapon and shield. Saul Goodman, one of the players I ran into at the Justice Shrine, told me to meet him at the New Haven Bank and he would help. I wasn't able to find him until he revealed himself as the dog sneaking around me. I blindly followed him to an arena that was in the outskirts of Old Haven, where he wanted to duel me for some reason. Not really knowing what I was doing, I happily obliged. I entered the portal that took me inside the arena and proceeded to get absolutely destroyed by Saul Goodman in a matter of seconds. How fun. Afterwards, he commended me on a good fight, even though I didn't do anything and died instantly, but hey, he seemed happy about the whole ordeal. In fact, he gave me some tips on how to improve my character's skills, specifically leveling Bushido and Chivalry, which would give me abilities that I could use instead of just auto-attacking everything. On top of that, before leaving, he randomly gave me 1 million gold. Sweet! I bid my farewell and took off. 1 million gold, just like that. Buying property and supplies for a house wouldn't be an issue anymore, I imagine, which got me much closer to completing one of my end goals. Taking his advice, I found the Samurai Trainer and paid to increase my skill to 40 and bought the Book of Bushido, which unlocked a new set of abilities I could use. Most notably, Lightning Strike, which required 50 skill and Bushido to use. It was time to grind up Hot Dog skill points once more. After unlocking the Lightning Strike ability, I realized that I actually didn't know how to repair my equipment. When asking about it in the general chat, a few people agreed to help me out. Well, one guy randomly gave me 5 million more gold because why not, right? Then Soul, who I first bumped into with Saul Goodman at the Justice Shrine previously, offered me some better gear back at their player house. With a quick portal spell, I arrived at their doorstep and they proceeded to dump all kinds of sweet loot on the floor, all which were a lot better than my current equipment. After scooping everything up off the ground like a little loot goblin, I thanked Soul for their generosity and left. I didn't actually get any help regarding how to repair my equipment, but I had brand new equipment, and it turned into a problem for future Hot Dog for another day. Now that I was drowning in money and had pretty good gear, I was really just missing out on doing some kind of dungeon and trying to find a boss to fight before I could settle down and purchase a nice house and a boat. The last skill I wanted to focus on was Chivalry, which would allow me to cast heals and buffs on myself. I paid the trainer in New Haven to raise the skill to 40 and purchased a Book of Chivalry. Instead of using mana to cast chivalry spells, you had to tithe gold and you could use abilities until your tithing was depleted. Just how the good Lord intended. Being a multi-millionaire, I just dumped the max tithe amount of 100,000 gold and was set for a very long time. I wanted to explore more of the world and work on leveling up my main skills. I found an encampment of rat-like creatures that I was able to cut through with ease, which led me to a cave that had a skeletal dragon hidden inside, which was much stronger than everything else in the cave, and it killed me very quickly. I traveled to the Asian-themed island of Isamu and spent some time with the local fauna. Oh Tao, I'm so sorry. I think it's time to leave now. At this point I was up to Tau 7. I really need to be more careful with my horses. I ended up finding a cave where I was able to kill a lot of troglodyte monsters to hone my fighting skills. And I mean a lot of them. But of course I got careless and died again. Oh, come on. Finally, after hours of killing troglodytes, I was able to get my swordsmanship skill up to 90, and I was much more competent in combat. I also found a dungeon called Shame. Shame was a cave located south of the town of Yu, and was interesting because creatures there had a small chance of dropping an item called a Crystal of Shame. If you acquired 10 Crystals of Shame, you could summon a boss to challenge on the floor you were on. This was exactly the kind of epic quest I was looking for. It was time to recruit Drunk and Eerie again to help out. Hey Drunk, are you in New Haven?
I'm in motherfucking Britain. Yeah, I'm in Britain. I gotta get a horse again, cause on our last adventures, my horse got f***ing shit on, so... Tau 10, what the f*** happened?
Yeah. We met outside of Shame, and it was time to go on a true Ultima Online adventure. What was that noise? Was that me, or was that like something else?
That's me. That's my mirror image ability, where I can create up to 5 copies of myself.
Where's my Crystal of... Oh, nice! We did get a Crystal of Shame.
Yeah, hit him with the Inox. Yeah.
Yeah, Inox, let's go.
Cave troll,
Yeah. Shame Crystal, yes! Yeah, boys.
Yeah, boy. Yeah, I'm gaming. I'm gaming. I got stuck on like a pillar, dude. What the?
No, he's coming for your horse. No!
Up and the horse is dead.
He beat the crap out of your horse.
That's up.
Oh, he's dead. Oh yeah, Kristo's shame. Let's go. Let's go.
Do you like attack at all, or? Or is your dad just like, look, there's 80 of me?
No, please don't kill me. It's just me. Jitters, they're everywhere. I can't escape them. Monsters in Raven Hill. Couldn't be.
Yes.
Only harmless
Rat
jitters.
clones protect.
Why do they all play the same 10 clips of sound over and over again?
It's me. I'll just run. Hopefully the rats will. Nope, I'm dead.
Oh no! Oh, yes. Oh, that mud pie hooked me up. We only need 2 more shame crystals.
Hell yeah.
Oh, another one. We're at 9. We're at 9, baby.
Oh, hell yeah.
Okay, so we're in the cave for about 3 hours farming monsters, and both Eerie and Drunk had to log off before he could get the final crystal of shame. After killing dozens more creatures, I finally acquired the final crystal. With the task being completed, it was time to approach the Guardian's altar and face whatever dreaded beast awaited me. The champion was summoned, and it was just a quartz elemental? Seriously? I didn't really know what to expect, but I was hoping for something a little more dramatic. It was more difficult than the other earth elementals that roamed the area, but I was still able to kite it around and finally kill it, defeating the champion of the first floor of shame. And of course its corpse
That
had
shadowy
nothing
figure I
valuable.
saw was a witness
Honestly,
to my family's
I
death.
was okay
There are
with that
questions
because
I'd
Hot
like to
Dog's
ask
goal
that
was
man,
to quest
if
through a
only I
dungeon
knew
and
who he
defeat a
was.
boss, which I technically
I must
did with the
know
help
who
of my
was
friends.
that skulker in the shadows
what's about
I saw the night my
journey,
family was
not
killed?
The destination.
Please,
I went back to New
adventurer,
Haven to
you
purchase
have
a boat
shown
with
your
my hordes of
resourcefulness. Please
hard-earned
find
gold.
that
I
shadowy
purchased
figure.
a deed for the
I
most
must
expensive
learn
ship
what secrets
available
he holds.
and went to the dock to
I do
claim
not
my
have
prize.
clues that you
Wait,
do not
what?
already know.
This
but
item
here,
cannot be
take
used
the book
with
you
an
found at my
endless
farm.
journey account?
Perhaps some of the
Wait a
townsfolk
second.
can link this book with its owner.
No way. So the free-to-play accounts can't actually own property unless they pay $13 a month? Like, I get it that MMOs traditionally have a monthly subscription, but this game is over
130
25 years old
million.
at this point.
See, I doubled my money today, and that's not even what the alt has either. When I open, I'm gonna trade all this. I'm gonna stack all of it. Yep, and compress and look at this. I double my money today, and I have 130 million here. I've doubled my money. I made 250 million today. That's insane. Like, it's just insane. It's insane. I don't have to go back out. I'm living rich now. I'm doing better now. I'm so glad I did this. I'm glad I made this second account. Well, I mean, I did this account a long time ago. I never reaped the profits until now. I didn't know how close I was to ice mining. There was like a revolution in ice mining. I came to it late. And like it, but I mean, they only did like they only changed it about 5 years ago. Now it's super good. It pays well, and it's like what it always should have been. Now this thing, I would like to trade it. Yep, and then we're gonna just take accept and yep, and we're gonna accept and yeah. And now I've got it in my item hanger. Stack all is 262 million. Now I'm gonna have to move all this, and I already have like a miasma with some stuff in the. Oh no, I don't. No, I don't. So yeah, the compressed clear ice code. We're gonna make it active. Yep. And yep, and we're gonna put compressed clear icicle in here, 630 of it, and some in the hold. And while I'm there, I'll get a Master at Arms Cerebral Accelerator. And I'm beginning to see a daily EvE grind that really is very gratifying. I won't have to do it very long. I should do PI, but PI seems like more work than I want to do, but I don't know. I guess going out to Pokefin every morning might actually be kind of an interesting thing to do. Like, the only real risk in my life is going to Pokefin and an Ibis. Who the fuck cares about that? So, yeah. So now I want to kind of, like, crash course PI again. But I've got to, like, go set up 5 planets, and that's going to take forever, ever. I should do it out here until I know what PI is, and then move it all, and then shut them down and move them, I guess. And that's kind of like what I should do. That's like a whole process, and I don't feel like tackling that yet. It feels like beyond what I want to worry about right now. What is it I'm doing? Oh yeah, I'm just going to a weather grave. Yeah.
Yay. It turns out Hot Dog, Tao 10, and Harambe Jr. wouldn't be able to settle down in a retirement cottage after all. Well, there go my plan.
Been playing too much WoW today. I'm gonna get back on Rust. Like, I would normally play Mortal 2, but I don't like like Mortal 2 does not play well with others, and I don't really think I want to spend any more time on Mortal 2. I think I'd rather just play Rust on a server. So it's prime time, which is like a bad time to go on Rust, you know, and try and build a base. It's gonna be fucking hard. Maybe I should just do this the rest of the night. I don't know. It's kind of annoying. I should eat dinner, but I think I'm just going to go the whole 12 hours and not eat. Yep. Oh, I went the wrong way. These things drop the meat I need. The effects are too loud. I want them at like 20.
How I wanted Hot Dog's story to end.
It was a good one. I liked Pixel Rookie. He was good. Let's look at old sandbox MMORPGs, right? Just see what pops. Thank you. Sorry, this video's loading. MMORPGGG. I've liked to sub to your channel.
The internet has been a thing. In fact, some of the first MMOs.
Hurry up, you.
Were text-based, and players interacted with each other through chat rooms. MMORPGs, massively multiplayer online role-playing games, took things one step further by adding graphics and allowing players to interact in real time. While there are many new MMOs on the market today, there are also a few old-school MMOs that are still worth playing. MMO players have been waiting for the next big thing ever since the release of World of Warcraft back in 2004, and by the looks of it, that next big thing might never come. So why not look to the past rather than to the future for your next MMO experience?
Oh, I am. I'm looking for the sandboxes I might have missed.
A Korean classic old-school MMORPG, and the only 2D side-scrolling MMO on our list. MapleStory was released in 2003 and quickly gained a following in both the Eastern and Western markets with its unique cute anime graphics. MapleStory 2 was released in 2015 with updated 3D graphics, but many old school players still prefer the original 2D game. The team behind Vanguard included many developers who had previously worked on EverQuest, including the legendary Brad McQuaid. It was released in 2007, but due to a rough release with many bugs, it never had much mainstream success. Vanguard eventually turned into a good MMO, but it was too late and it was shut down in 2014. A Vanguard emulator has later been developed by members of the community. Tibia was originally released in 1997 and is still running to this day, making it one of the oldest running MMOs out there. The game features some pretty dated isometric graphics that might make it hard for new players to get into the game, but the gameplay has definitely stood the test of time. Anarchy Online was developed by Funcom, the Norwegian company behind games like Age of Conan, Conan Exiles, and The Secret World. Anarchy Online came out in 2001 and was one of the few classic MMOs set in a sci-fi setting. The game still has a cult following and is definitely worth checking out for old school MMO fans. Ashran's Call was developed by Turbine and released in 1999, making it one of the oldest 3D MMOs. Sadly, the official servers closed down in 2017. Ashran's Call is set in the fantasy world of Oberyn. The game features many traditional MMO elements, such as quests, monsters, and player versus player combat. An Ashran's Call emulator has been developed by fans of the game, so you can still play it in 2022. Lineage 2 was one of the early big MMOs to come out of Korea and boasted a huge number of players during its first few years. The player base has definitely dwindled over the years, but in 2011 the game switched to a free-to-play model, so if you've ever been curious about trying Lineage 2, you should definitely give it a try. Worm Online is an MMO set in a medieval world that was released in 2006. The game prides itself on being the true sandbox MMORPG, and was developed by Marcus Notch Persson, the man behind Minecraft. Worm Online, like Minecraft, also features a world that players can interact with and shape in their image, but Worm Online is often critiqued for being too complex and with too many systems. If you are looking for a great sandbox MMO, and don't mind spending some time learning the ropes, Worm Online might be the old school MMO for you. DDO is an MMO adaptation of the classic tabletop game. Dungeons & Dragons Online was released in 2006 and is based on the popular tabletop RPG. The game features many of the same elements as the tabletop game, including character customization, quests, and dungeon crawling. At first, only the Eberron campaign setting was available to explore, but has since been expanded to the much more popular Forgotten Realms as well, known to gamers from classic RPGs such as Baldur's Gate, Icewind Dale, and Neverwinter Nights. The title still has almost 50k active players and is well worth a try if you like Dungeons & Dragons or old school MMOs. WoW Classic was released in 2019 and is an MMO set in the world of Azeroth. The game is a re-release of the original World of Warcraft, which was released in 2004. WoW Classic features all of the same. Dark Age of Camelot was released in 2001 and is an MMO set in the world of Arthurian legend. Players can choose to play as one of three factions: Midgard, Avalon, or Hibernia. The game is unique in that it has a focus on player versus player combat, with large-scale battles taking place between the factions. Dark Age of Camelot quickly became a household name in the MMORPG world, mostly because of its engaging PvP and RVR, realm versus realm, combat which featured PvP on a much larger scale than had been seen before. Camelot Unchained, a spiritual successor, designed by Mark Jacobs, who also designed Dark Age of Camelot, is currently in beta. The only game on the list with the actual words old school in the title. RuneScape was first released in 2001 and is one of the most popular MMOs of all time. The game has undergone many changes over the years, but the core gameplay remains the same. Players can explore the vast world of Gielenar, complete quests, and fight monsters. The game is also free to play, which makes it accessible to everyone. OSRS was released in 2013,
Autopilot
but the
engaged.
reason it's called old school is that it's running on a version of the game from 2007. OSRS is now more popular than
Walking
RuneScape
to
3 and
Stargate.
even has a mobile
Warp
version
drive
that you can play on
active.
the go. The one thing that usually puts off new players from joining the fun is the dated graphics, but if you can look past it or even enjoy it, then the gameplay aspects of OSRS more than make up for it. Star Wars Galaxies is a true sandbox MMO set in the Star Wars universe released in 2003. Galaxies is one of the most beloved sandbox MMOs of all time set in one of the most beloved IPs. Star Wars Galaxies has always had a hardcore fan base of dedicated players. Sadly, the game was shut down in 2011 before the release of Star Wars The Old Republic, but you can still play the game on the Legends emulated server, which even still releases new content to the game. A true pioneer in the MMO space, Ultima Online is an isometric MMO produced by the legendary game developer Richard Garriott and designed by Raf Koster, who also helped design Star Wars Galaxies and EverQuest 2. First released in 1997, Ultima Online is one of the oldest MMOs on this list. What it lacks in graphics, it makes up for in gameplay. Ultima Online is a sandbox MMO, which means that there are no set objectives and players are free to do whatever they want. There are also many player-run events and organizations, which gives the game a sense of community. Today Ultima Online is developed and maintained by Broadsword, which also operate Dark Age of Camelot.
Warping to Stargate.
EverQuest is the game that paved the way for all future MMOs. That doesn't mean it was the first MMO, but simply that its commercial success made studios take the genre seriously. EverQuest is set in the fantasy world of Norath and has a vast array of quests.
Autopilot jumping.
It's like interesting video. It was good.
Warping to Stargate. Warp drive active.
I have helped over 800,000 players optimize their WoW setup to be the best.
Thank you, Quasi Wow. I have liked to sub to your channel.
Approaching Stargate.
Player they can be, and as you can see on screen, I always get questions like, what the hell is your graphic settings, and why does your game mechanics look so much more obvious to see, and why is your gameplay buttery smooth? And here's the little known lesson I learned from playing WoW for 20 years. Its default graphic settings are holding you back, and yes, the default settings might be more immersive, but it's just not optimized for people who want to take World of Warcraft seriously or to improve at the game. In this video, I'll share my insider secrets, the lesser known tricks and visual hacks I've learned over 2 decades of playing WoW. Forget those generic use this, use that WoW setting videos. I'm taking it up a notch. I'll walk you through every single graphic settings, I'll explain in simple terms what each of them does, and I'll review the exact sweet spot to achieve buttery smooth frame per second while maximizing visual clarity on crucial game mechanics. This guide will start with 2 insane console command hacks that changed my game, followed by what I call the 3 kings and 1 prince of mechanics visual settings. These 4 things will ensure you never miss a single visual mechanic ever again. Then I'll cover every graphic setting, I will explain how they affect World of Warcraft, and for each of them I'll tell you the exact sweet spot I found from 20 years of playing the game that will give you the best balance between eye candy and maximizing a buttery smooth frame per second. Before we start, we are less than 5% away from our 100,000.
Nothing's wrong, but it is hard for me to go into town now. The roads are dangerous, and I'm not getting any younger. Maybe you can do an old man some favors? Oh, what is a poor old man to do? I need some supplies from Darkshire, but the village is so far away, and I am so old and feeble, I would never make the trip. Can you go to Darkshire and bring me back some ghost hair thread? You can get it from Madame Ava at her home on the Darkshire Square.
Subscriber goal. This is a lifelong dream of mine, and if you like my content, all I ask is you subscribe to the channel. It costs you entirely nothing, but it means the world to me. So starting with the zoom hack console command. If you are always taking damage from avoidable projectiles in World of Warcraft, you are probably playing on the default suboptimal zoom settings. You see, the default zoom setting handicaps you by forcing you to play with a more zoomed in view. Now what if I told you there's a way you can actually see the projectile traveling towards you way earlier? There's a little known console command that gives you a 37% boost to how far you can zoom out. And this is a massive advantage because you can now see incoming harmful mechanics way earlier, allowing you to respond with the precision that you thought is only for the elite WoW players. This is extremely useful, especially if you are a shot caller for your team in raids, M+, or PvP. Being able to see the whole fight from way above gives you a better understanding of what's going on in the big picture, so you can better process more information at once and make better decisions and calls. But just to demo it in-game in real time, this currently on screen is the maximum I can zoom out. Default settings for WoW. The console command for the zoom hack is super simple. All you do is to enter a simple console command as per what I shown on screen. I will even provide the command in the video description, so expand the description below for this video and you can just copy and paste it. So in your game, press enter, then Ctrl V to paste, or you can simply type it out, then press enter again. And now try zooming out using your hotkey, and now you can zoom out way further. And when you're playing from a top-down view like that, you can actually see projectiles coming in way earlier. Because if I flip it back to the default settings for WoW, this is basically the field of view where you start seeing projectiles come in, where my mouse cursor is.
Why did
It's at
those
the
pop on
first
top of
ridge
me?
of this bridge, right? If you use the 2.6 variable in my command, you can see projectiles come in as far as the third ridge on the bridge over here. And if you compare the values of 1.9 to 2.6, this workaround and hack gives you 37% more room to zoom out. Now there's another cool camera trick that goes very well with the above. It's another console command. You can type in what's on screen or simply copy and paste again from the description of this video, and then try zooming in and out. It will make your camera zoom in and out way smoother than it previously was. But the bottom line is this zoom out command hack was a massive game changer for me, but that's not the only console command hackery I have for you. Now this next console command hack also caught me off guard when it was uncovered by the WoW community around the time of the Dragonflight launch. And as you can see from the comments on Reddit, it was a massive game changer for a lot of people, not just me. And I'll link to the Reddit thread in the description too. What the community uncovered was a console command that magically made everything in WoW pop with clarity and detail without any noticeable reduction in FPS or game performance. Now this console command hack is based off something called the Fidelity Super Resolution, or FSR for short. The point of this function was to let people render graphics at a lower resolution, like 1080p for example, and then using data from the previous frame to build a higher resolution frame, 1440p for example. Naturally, this method is way more resource efficient to output versus rendering natively and directly at 1440p. Bottom line, this kind of rebuilding of a higher resolution frame does make the image a bit more blurry, and FSR was then used as a sharpening filter to make the rebuilt image way sharper. But in WoW, you can use this simple sharpening filter without even having the game output at a lower resolution to be scaled upwards. Now, if you didn't understand this logic, this you will understand, just see it for yourself. The first thing to do, pull up your menu in WoW, go to Options, and then you will find Graphic Settings. On the bottom left over here, you want to scroll down on the tab, find Resample Quality, and under the drop down you want to select Fidelity FX Super Resolution, or FSR for short, and then proceed to close. Now FX Super Resample Quality, and under the drop down you want to select Fidelity FX Super Resolution, or FSR for short, and then proceed to close. Now next press enter in your game, and then simply copy and paste what you see on screen or type it in and press enter again, and you will notice the details here being way sharper. The best way to look at it is at the edges of items like this ruby over here.
Warping to Stargate. Warp drive active.
Resolution, or FSR for short, and then proceed to close. Now next press enter in your game, and then simply copy and paste what you see on screen or type it in and press enter again, and you will notice the details here being
Approaching autopilot jumping.
Look at it, it's at the edges of items like this ruby over here. This is with the effect off. Notice the blurry edges over here and here. Now I'm gonna turn it on right now and you can see it's way more distinct. So turn off and turn on. Another very obvious way to see, look at the patterns on the ground. This is currently with it off. If I turn it on, it looks way more distinct. As many people on Reddit have said, after entering this console command, it's as though you're putting on glasses designed for WoW. It makes your game look way better by adding more color and depth to the important parts that you can see. Now going back to your graphic settings, know that you can change the strength of this filter effect by this slider over here called resample sharpness. I like it on 0.5, but if you really like the look of it, you can increase it all the way to 0, which is the maximum strength of this filter effect. And if you want to tone it down, you slide it to the left. But 0.5 is my favorite setting. It's entirely personal preference. Alright, so that's the two quick console hacks. But this is where the real secret begins. Over the years, I've been asked countless times, why does my game look so smooth on screen? By the way, you can check the FPS counter on the bottom right. And why does it seem way easier to see and to react to game mechanics in my footage? And so today I'm gonna let you in on my secret to achieving that buttery smooth high FPS gameplay while keeping everything important like AoE, boss mechanics, projectiles super clear and easy to see. Now the magic trick is knowing which graphic settings are crucial for clarity and contrast, allowing you to see and to react to the game mechanics better. It's also about identifying which settings are purely cosmetic and could slow you down in the department of frames per second, which is not a great idea during action-packed moments in raids, Mythic Plus dungeons or PvP. This strategy is also used by the most competitive players across games like Counter-Strike or Valorant. Professional players who want to strike a balance between smooth gameplay and essential visual details, where they deprioritize the resource-consuming eye candy. And my strategy is similar in two parts. First, I max out specific settings that highlight vital game mechanics that helps me react faster. Then I adjust other settings to boost FPS and to minimize input lag, making the game feel more responsive and smooth to give me an advantage in character movement and reactions. Now, I'm not just gonna tell you what settings to change. I'll talk about what each graphic settings does and why I chose that particular setting. That way you understand my reasonings and you can change the settings to match your PC specs if you like. And if you're playing WoW in 4K or with a GPU that is not powerful, these settings will help you get the most frames per second without sacrificing visual clarity for things like mechanics and things you need to react to. Naturally, if you have a very powerful rig, feel free to turn up everything to ultra. At the end of the day, enjoy the game how you want to enjoy it. I'm just saying these settings I use are meant to get the most juice out of your gameplay performance, regardless of what hardware you use. Your final graphic settings is subjective and it's up to you. Now before we start, keep in mind that you're watching this video on YouTube at 60 frames per second, which is the highest frames per second YouTube allows. And that means you won't be able to tell the difference between my gameplay at 60 frames per second and at, let's say, 140 frames per second, because YouTube can only display that many frames within that time window. But for those of you with gaming monitors that shows frames per second way beyond 60 FPS, I guarantee you can feel it for sure. Alright, now moving on to the 3 kings and 1 prince of graphic settings for maximum mechanical clarity. That might be cheesy to you, but hey, it works. There are 3 settings, and I call them the 3 kings because they have the biggest impact in ensuring all gameplay mechanics you need to react to like AoE, fires, and swirlies on the ground are displayed as clear as they can be. Then there's a bonus fourth setting, which is also impactful, which I call the Prince. So let me explain all 4 settings, and I'll show you a demo of the same encounter with these 4 settings tuned all the way up versus all the way down. And the difference is night and day. You can see it for yourself in the demo. So the 3 big settings on the 3 kings are as follows. Firstly, on the graphic settings menu, scroll down and locate something called particle density. On the graphic settings menu, just know that I always only configure using the base graphic quality. The raid and battleground, I actually have it unchecked. Now, if you want a different setting for base, which is like, for example, you are in a town or when you're in dungeons, versus a different setting where you're raid and battlegrounds, then go ahead and check this box, which means you can basically configure base out of raids and battlegrounds on a different graphical settings. But I see no point in that, so I have this unchecked and I always just rely on the base settings because this applies to everything in the game. So anyway, I want you to locate something called particle density. Put simply, this first setting determines how many bits and pieces you see during flashy moments in the game, such as when the boss spells are being cast, ground AoE is burning, or any similar effects that involve a lot of small moving details. Turning up this setting makes all important PvE mechanics you need to react to look intense, and hence way easier to spot. So always keep this on the highest possible setting. Then you have projected textures. This setting governs how the game shows detailed textures on the ground and other surfaces. Specifically, it allows you to see where the spells will hit, indicating where certain things will land, and indicating areas you should move to or avoid to stay in during combat. A simple example is those ground swirlies that indicate something will land there and you need to move out of it. You must always keep projected textures enabled. This is what makes glowing outlines of ground effects or the visual cues of a dangerous boss ability visible. If you have this disabled, you are going to be failing to dodge mechanics you can't even see. Always enable this. Then third, you have texture resolution. Now this setting determines how clear and detailed everything in the game looks. Lowering this setting results in everything starting to look blurrier and less defined. And this is why you always keep this on the maximum highest setting, because it impacts gameplay mechanics directly. Specifically, the visual cues for spell effects, certain AoE ground effects you need to move into or out of during fights. A higher resolution makes the visual cues way more noticeable. You set this too low and you start missing out on game mechanics because somehow those pesky fires or bad puddles on the ground just seem to blend into the background. And frankly, this slider does not impact frames per second much at all, so crank it as high as you can. Now beyond the 3 kings, scroll down further and you'll find something called contrast. Now the game's default contrast is set at 50%, and you will notice as you increase the contrast to something like 75-80%, which is what I like. And just to show you the drastic difference, if I scroll all the way to the left and all the way to the right, and what you'll notice is that increasing the contrast, you'll see that the colors become way more distinct and they blend less together. And so this is very advantageous for fights where there are swirlies on the ground, because you get a way bigger distinction between the edges of the swirlies versus the safe zones. So if you're trying to min-max, consider playing around 70%, 75% contrast, depending on your tolerance for how dark certain parts of the world will become. Alright, we've covered a lot of theory, but seeing is believing. This is a fight from Dragonflight Season 1, Halls of Valor, you guys might have remembered that. And just to demo to you, if I go to graphic settings, it literally is everything that we have covered. You can see particle density is disabled, texture resolution is low, projected textures is disabled. Right, and I'll scroll through the settings. Contrast is at 50%. I want you to note 2 things. Firstly, these spinning things on the ground. You can even barely see the edges of the AoE, and just look at these AoE. There's nothing on the ground other than the blades spinning, right? And then look at the drakes. Look at the drakes and the tornadoes that spawn, these white tornadoes. You can barely see the tornadoes.
It looks way better.
Very faint. So just take it in for now, right? There's also supposed to be lightning on the ground as the drake flies by. Now let's literally go into the options and then let's toggle on the important stuff, specifically particle density to ultra, texture resolution to high, projected texture to enable, and contrast to 75%. 75% apply. Look at the difference immediately. You can see the AoEs of the blade that is super clear. Now we wait for the drakes. Look at what's happening with the drakes here. Firstly, you see lightning paths on the ground, and then the whirlwinds are so much more noticeable, right? Way easier to dodge. So that is what I mean. By turning on the 3 kings and the 1 prince in terms of the 4 settings, and I know it's cheesy, you can actually see things way better. There's no excuse not to see stuff now. Okay, so now let's talk about settings that will really save you frames per second. Remember, YouTube only displays 60 frames per second, so you can't see like the 140 frames that I'm getting the effect of that via YouTube. The only way you experience that is through a gaming monitor you own. And trust me, if you play on 140 FPS versus 60 FPS on a monitor, you will definitely feel the difference. Just ask any professional first-person shooter player. So if you want a buttery smooth gameplay on your ultra-high refresh rate monitor, these settings that I'm about to talk about will give you the most bang for your buck. Naturally, these means you forgo the eye candies for raw frames per second, but it really doesn't look that bad. Literally, what you saw in the Halls of Valor encounter, with all the 4 main settings turned on to the highest, that actually looked pretty alright, and it gave you such a great performance boost. But my goal in this section is to educate you on what each of the graphics settings really mean and what it impacts, so you can best decide for yourself what do you want. Depending on how powerful a gaming PC you have, you can then pick the right graphic settings that optimizes between frames per second, visual clarity of mechanics.
Gotta go pee, guys. Terribly sorry.
Now keep in mind, while
BRB.
Autopilot jumping. Warping to station. Warp drive active.
Okay, much better. Okay, Glente Holler. One, 2, and 3. I'm gonna see if I can bump some logging campaign stuff. There's a booster, but I'm looking for. Oh yeah, are you targeting me? Are you gonna pop me? It's a tornado. I'm gonna trade a tornado for ice or what? You want 100 million in ice or? Yeah, it's 100 million in ice.
Docking permission requested. Docking permission requested. Docking request accepted. Autopilot disabled. Waypoint reached.
84. Money. Nice. You didn't sell that? Why? Sell that. There we go. Okay, and then we go back.
Autopilot engaged. Warping to Stargate. Warp drive active.
Where are we targeting me again? You're dumb.
Approaching Stargate.
Oh my god, it looks so much better. Wow.
Rather than GPU bottleneck. So keep that in mind when you're looking at the specs of your gaming PC. But let's start all the way at the top. You will see that my render scale over here is actually not at 100%, it's at 91%. Yours is probably at 100% by default. You see, render scale determines the resolution at which the game's 3D environment is rendered on your screen. When it's set to 100%, the game renders at your monitor's native resolution or your natural resolution. Lowering the render scale below 100% reduces the resolution the game outputs, which decreases the workload on your system and it frees up more frames per second. So this is really a trade-off between graphic quality and performance. But since you already get the benefits of the fidelity super resolution that we talked about in the sharpening hack in the earlier part of this video, you can actually get away with as low as 90%, which is kind of what I use, without really being able to tell a noticeable difference. And yet, it already frees up 10% more resource. This is a significant FPS gain for older PCs. And then next, you have vertical sync. So this synchronizes your game's frame rate with your monitor's refresh rate. When enabled, it prevents screen tearing, a visual artifact that occurs when your monitor displays part of the multiple frames at once, resulting in a disjointed image. Now typically you want this disabled, as enabling it adds on to input lag and it also decreases your frames per second. You only ever want to turn this on if you have serious screen tearing issues with your monitor. Now if you don't know what screen tearing is, you probably do not have the problem, turn it off. The next setting, low latency mode. This refers to a feature introduced in Dragonfly expansion. It aims to reduce input latency, which is the delay between when you perform an action, like pressing a key or moving your mouse, versus when it's reflected in the game. This is also known as input lag that I talked about earlier. I can tell you that NVIDIA Reflex plus Boost feels the most reactive for me personally, and I know other game developers like Riot Games and Valorant have been telling people to use NVIDIA Reflex plus Boost where possible. But I also know online that some people saying that this feeling of improvement from using a setting like this comes from a placebo effect, meaning your mind is playing tricks on you. But test it for yourself. I did feel like it helps my character feel very slightly more responsive, and hey, every bit helps. Now moving down, you have anti-aliasing. This reduces the appearance of jagged edges, often seen on objects and characters, especially when playing at lower resolutions. So the higher your settings here, the cleaner and more natural edges in the game look, but of course at the cost of performance and frame rates. So what's the sweet spot? Well, I found this setting to be the best for me without a noticeable drop in visual quality, yet better frame rates. You want to set your anti-aliasing to advanced, and then under image-based techniques, use CMAA2, which if you look at this drop down is not as good as FXAA high, but the performance is so drastically better for what I think is a slight decrease in quality.
Stargate.
There's a very bang for buck trade here, and that's what I use. And then you have multi-sample techniques. I recommend going for color 4x, depth 4x. Again, it's not the highest setting, which is the 8x version, but I honestly cannot tell any difference. Without sticking my face onto the monitor and observing the pixel changing, I just can't tell the difference. And yet between 4x and 8x, 4x definitely gave a noticeable frame rate improvement. Moving on, we have the multi-sample alpha test that you can check over here. This is a setting that determines how well it evaluates the transparency of objects or textures. The short of it is this: when you enable it, meaning you check the checkbox, it evaluates the transparency at a more detailed level, which can result in smoother edges and textures. But save yourself the trouble, turn this off to save resources and frame rates. Again, another setting I cannot tell the difference unless I stick my face onto the monitor and observe the change in pixels. Then we have camera FOV. Okay, this is a big one. This controls your field of view, or FOV, and how much of the game world you can see at once on your screen. If you change the camera FOV, you are changing the angle at which the camera in the game displays the world. When you increase the FOV, you drag the slider to the right, your view gets bigger. You can see way more of the area around you. However, the game has to render more objects at once, which means you lose frames per second. But my view is that you should play with camera FOV at 90, because that way, along with the zoom hack that we covered at the start of the video, you can see way more. And let me just demonstrate. I have some friends who choose to play it at 80, and when I click apply, just look at how much more cropped in everything is, right? This is 80, and then this is 90 without zooming in or out. It's just FOV. So if you see it from a top-down perspective, same zoom settings by the way, this is 90 and this is 80. It's so much more cropped in. I recommend playing on 90 and just zooming all the way out like I did, because you can just see way more like that. Look, at the end of the day, I have friends who play on FOV 80 and it's perfectly fine for them. So this is really personal choice. I prefer 90 though. Next up, we go into graphics quality, and just to reiterate what I said earlier, I do not like to have separate settings for raid and battleground. Well, because this tab, if you check this box here, it means that you have separate graphic settings for raid and battleground, right? But what about dungeons? And I do Mythic Plus, so I don't bother with this. I always use base, and this is the only graphic setting list that I have. I don't have a separate setting for raid and battleground. So for base, entering into graphics quality, I set everything to 1 because you will get to tweak and customize them individually anyway. Under shadow quality, this controls how detailed and realistic shadows are in the game. The higher the setting, the more obvious the little nuances are. For example, the specific shape of a tree's leaves on the ground, or the subtle movement of your character's shadows. But at the end of the day, shadow does not play any role in game mechanics. So I definitely turn this down to maximize FPS. Then next you have liquid detail. It controls how water looks in the game. The higher the setting, the more realistic and appealing liquid looks in the game. For example, water reflections and ripples. This is 100% about the game's visual beauty, and there's zero game mechanics that is affected by this. Lower the setting to maximize FPS. Next, we have particle density, which is part of the big 3 that we covered earlier. Keep this on ultra. Next, we have SSAO. This stands for Screen Space Ambient Occlusion, a feature in World of Warcraft that makes lighting in the game more realistic. Essentially, it adds depth to your scenes, it simulates the way light naturally shadows around objects. For example, the areas that are tight and enclosed will look darker, making the game world feel more three-dimensional and rich. But you know it, again, it does nothing to make mechanics stand out more. So lower this setting if you like to save yourself some FPS. Then you have depth effects. So this setting adjusts how some visual elements like light rays, sun shafts, sparkles, how they look in the game by adding depth to them. If you set it to high, the effects become more detailed and realistic. For example, light shining through the trees will look more natural, and the fog will seem thicker and more enveloping. Again, this has zero use for you to react to mechanics, so disable this resource hog if you need those frames. And then next you have compute effects.
Autopilot
This affects
jumping.
how certain visuals like the thick fog that seems to fill spaces with a cloud-like appearance, and also other smoke-like particle effects are shown in the game. The higher the setting, the more realistic things are. For example, the in-game
Moving to
fog
Stargate.
can look denser
Warp
and
drive
more natural.
active.
And the interactions of the particles with one another are more precise. But again, zero impact on how mechanics actually look and other resource hog, so turn this off for more frames. Next you have outline mode. This makes certain items or objectives easier to spot by adding a glowing outline around them. This is useful for things like quest items or gathering nodes, as they make them stand out. That said, when you're doing serious content, this setting does nothing for you in combat, so disable this for more FPS. Texture resolution, we covered it in the big three settings. For spell density, it controls how many spells you see during gameplay. It controls the visual clutter on your screen, especially when messy instance encounters like raids or battlegrounds are taking place. So when you set it to essential, the game only shows spells that are crucial for you to see, like your own spells. Setting it to everything means you will see
Approaching Stargate.
every single spell cast by every single one in your raid or your dungeon, which can be visually impressive, but it overwhelms your screen and it makes it very hard to track the critical mechanics you need to respond to. So set this to essential to not only maximize FPS, and it also keeps your screen clean, so the only spells or effects you need to see other than your own are the bosses or encounter mechanics, making it way more obvious to react to. Okay, next up we have view distance. This setting adjusts how far of the game world you can see at once. Setting this on high does let you see more buildings and characters from a distance, but at the expense of processing power and frames. So for WoW, game mechanics that you need to react to, they are always immediately in your vicinity. So seeing further does not give you an advantage. This is one of the
Autopilot
biggest savers
jumping.
of frames if you lower it, so feel free to do so liberally. Environmental detail. It affects how much of the game's environment, like landscapes and trees, you can see at a distance. Turning this setting up makes the world look fuller in
Warping
the
to
distance,
Stargate.
but it does nothing to
Warp
help you
drive
deal with
active.
in-game mechanics. You can set to lowest to maximize FPS. Next up, ground clutter. It controls how much stuff you see on the ground, like grass, leaves, small plants, how far away you start seeing these details. On the high setting, the game looks more lush due to more greenery and small ground detail. But just know that this does you no favor when it comes to dodging mechanics, especially ground effects. In fact, a lower setting not only
It looks
grants you
way
more frames
better.
per second, it makes ground AoE way easier to see, especially in outdoor encounters where there is vegetation. Then you have triple buffering. This is something you can check or uncheck. This is a setting that helps you smooth out sudden changes in the frame rates of the game. When you disable it, the game defaults to double buffering, which renders the
Approaching
next
Stargate.
frame while displaying the current frame to you. Triple buffering, when you enable it, it adds yet another frame to the queue, resulting in a 2-frame lag. This extra buffering can introduce a tiny delay between when you input a command and from when you see the results on the screen, which adds to input latency that we talked about earlier. Now, I am a min-maxer, so even if it's a 1-frame lag, I still believe in disabling this to ensure my character is more responsive in reacting to my inputs to dodge mechanics. Scrolling down further, texture filtering. This affects how sharp and detailed textures appear, especially when viewed from an angle. So at maximum, the textures retain their sharpness and clarity even when you are looking at them from the side or from a distance. My take is that you
Autopilot
comfortably
jumping.
can use it 4x. That saves you frames and things still looks pretty good, so you don't have to go all the way up to 16x. 4x is great. Then you have the ray trace shadow. enhances the quality of shadows
Moving to
using
Stargate.
advanced rendering techniques
drive
called ray
active.
tracing. This method creates shadows that are more realistic, they have softer edges, and they are more accurate. It also allows for shadows to be cast from additional light sources